His fists were like
Armor-piercing rounds.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Guess what? We're technically finished. We've technically kind of finished Higurashi. That's it. No, that's it. We're dead. We're dead. We're dead. Hi, I'm dead. And with me is a fellow dead, Elise. Elise, you dead?
Yes.
Elise, I have a question for you.
Of course.
Favorite character in Higurashi, go.
Akasaka. I love my failed cop Jotaro.
Oh, I love It Man. That movie is so good.
It Man is also amazing.
We got Gail. Hey, Gail.
Hello.
Gail, favorite character in Higurashi.
All right, I'm only going to answer for the visual novels. It's Takano.
There you go. Hey, I could see it. Oh, man. We got to talk about it. We'll talk about it. Indestructible Cat's here.
Yo.
Indestructible Cat isn't feeling very well.
Yeah, I'm currently dying.
Oh, are you, you're not, like, scratching your throat, are you? Like any...
Oh, it's a little itchy. Should I do that, actually?
No, don't do that. No. Okay. Hands down. Keep your hands inside or out, away from the neck at all times.
There's something crawling on my neck.
No. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me, buddy. Look at me. Eyes here. Eyes up. Favorite character in Higurashi, go.
You know, just for the sheer, depth of their, backstory, it has to be Cake Fucker. But no, it's Rena.
Anyways, Lara, hi.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, Lara?
I'm doing okay. Sorry for missing last week's chat, but I'm here.
No, totally fine. We all got stuff to do. We all got places to be. Let me ask you a personal question. Favorite character in Higurashi, go.
Oh, it's Rena. No questions asked.
Rena.
Simple.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Let's go ahead and ask Olo. Olo, what's up?
Hey.
How you doing, Olo?
I just choked on water a second ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's pretty
I
cool.
think I'm okay.
You know, does your favorite character in Higurashi also choke on water?
No, but she does fall out of a window and die.
Oh shit, Shion!
I love twins.
I love twins.
Shion's just funny.
Indeed. Oh yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. Shion really stood up in this. Too bad she has trouble. Too bad she hears in mono now. Hey, Numbers, how you doing?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Are you depressed because there's no more Higurashi?
But there is more Higurashi.
There's no more Higurashi. I've been told that
Higurashi.
Chapter 8 is the finale.
It's like an hour and a half, but it's there.
We haven't even gotten to bus stop.
We've not even gotten to Higurashi Go, the 2020 anime. It never ends. You can't escape.
Or the gacha. We still have to cover the gacha.
We are not covering the gacha.
What about Daybreak?
Let's cover the fucking weird phone release, which is lost media and has 3 exclusive arcs.
Numbers, I have a question for you.
Yeah?
Favorite character in Higurashi?
I'm shaking hands with Olo right now because I am certified #1 Shion Stan.
There you go.
I support and endorse all of her actions. She never did anything wrong. Besides the piss, that was a little uncalled for. I'm sorry.
Well, let's be frank. Piss is always uncalled for.
Yes. If you're hearing this and you pissed once in your life, I'm coming for you, and you will not be spared.
Okay, I thought you were going to leave the "for you" out of that. Anyway,
Numbers is coming.
It was her piss that saved the day.
Much like Akasaka. Akasaka and what's his name? No, you're gonna laugh when I say his name because I can't remember it.
Goosebumps kid?
No.
Is it Oishi?
Oh no. Okay, you're gonna hate
Iroh?
me. Who made Metal Gear Solid.
I don't know.
Kojima?
Kojima. Why
Who's
did
that?
I thought his name began with an M, and I was like, "What? It's Mion? No, he's
Hideo
not
Mojima.
Mojima.
Hideo
Higurashi has
Kojima.
replaced your memory of him now. I see.
Look, my
Good old
brain
Mike
is Swiss
Kojima.
cheese normally.
Mike Kojima.
Towels Rail, how you doing? How you doing, bud?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Hanging in there. Hanging in there with. So. Okay. Question for you. You're getting a body pillow of a Higurashi character. Which character
God
is it?
damn it.
Or
That was the
your
implied question. Can I change
Favorite
my
character
answer?
is Mion.
Mion. Okay. Cool. Okay. I like how you completely threw my question out the window. All right. Yeah. No. Great choices. We got two Shions and a Mion. There you go. Jan.
Yeah, what's up?
Yo, Jan, question for you. Are you going to even out the split in favorite Higurashi characters, or are you going to go a different way?
I think it's going to be an absolute surprise based on the icon I've been using for the past several months. But my favorite character is Rika.
Interesting.
Of course.
I
obvious.
could see
Underdog.
it. I could see
Underdog.
it. Indeed. Ow.
Being the underdog pick when you're the main character.
No one likes Hanyu.
It's
I like
unfortunate.
Hanyu.
Can we hear her rolling down a hill?
Yes.
I
Shit.
like Hanyu.
I thought I downloaded all
I
that
gave
shit.
it to Mion, but Keiichi and Hanyu were close follow-ups on my favorite characters.
I'm sorry, you gave
No.
it to Hanyu? Or you gave it to Mion? Interesting choice of words.
Can
Bob,
we?
you have
can
to
we
pick one. Pick one, Bob.
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm afraid you don't know how this
You
works.
have
I'm
to.
the streamer. I am above such questions.
I
don't
won't
have
pull
to
you down to my level.
I don't
Who
have
is
to
your
go
favorite?
down to the level of what character is your favorite. Although I must say,
Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite?
I kind of like Oishi a lot now.
Okay, fair.
He's
Yeah,
really
that's fair.
good.
That's a good choice.
It's interesting.
See, I
What's
Not
that?
leather taste.
I was expecting a real curveball, and you were saying Ryukishi 07.
Well, is he a character?
I mean, depending on how you take that one line in the manga, it might or might not be Akasaka. There's a million ways to take that, though.
It's true. Which one is her falling? It's got to be the longest one, right? No. Which one of these is long as hell? It's got to be like. Yeah, that's
There we go.
There we go.
it. Rolling right into Takano, and Takano's like, "Get out of here, you fucking demon freak ass weird thing! You and your horns." Well, we got a lot of catching up to do, y'all. So, and just FYI, I threw out Oishi because I feel like Oishi needed some love, and I played E Honda in Street Fighter, so
God.
I'm like, yeah, extreme E Honda energy from Oishi. But
I
every
understand
character,
that.
you know what? Okay. How about this? My favorite character is a 3-way tie with Oishi, Akasaka, and
Really?
four-way, Tomitake and Kasai.
Interesting.
A 4-way, I see.
Extreme dad energy.
I could see Tomitake. That does make
That's a
sense.
4-way I'd like to see. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that out loud.
Yeah, that's like I was kind of thinking you were just gonna say Akasaka and Oishi as like winter, summer, like romance people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean
Oishi
that
and
as well. But for me, it's more like, what characters do I want to see like star in their own like a spin-off movie? But no, for real, if we're talking about like, I loved all these characters. Like Rena will always have a place in my heart. Keiichi, I really warmed up to the dude. Takano, I was rooting for the entire time. I was like, please just stop. Please just like, oh God. And then, yeah, the reveal at the end, which we got to talk about. We got to talk about that. But yeah, everybody, like Mion, Shion I like a little bit more than Mion, but Mion's fucking classy. And then, yeah, fucking Satoko. God, every fucking character, they're all great. I can't choose. Don't tell me to choose. I can't do it. They're all amazing. And my friends, leave my friends alone. You wouldn't ask which friend is your favorite, would you?
I would.
God damn it. Hey, Jan.
What's up?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all right.
You feeling like talking for the next hour?
I think I can try.
Alrighty. Here we go. We're recapping, y'all. We're going to recap, and then we're going to defrag, and we're going to talk about everything. So, without further ado, I'm turning it over to Jan. Jan, I'm going to go ahead and open up the doc so I can follow along. But yeah, take the floor.
Okay, first up, we got the content warnings. I believe this should cover most of it. Murder, death, self-harm, fascism, genocide, human experimentation, suicide. I should add that in there as well. And various other similar things. Kind of touches on a lot of things here. This is going to be the second half, even though we did the first 2 quarters as their own things. So there's a lot to get through here. Lots of stuff happens.
And for the record, I clicked play on the music in VLC, and I set it to repeat, but it's just kind of doing its own thing. It's just playing all of the songs that I just tried to play. So I actually like that a lot. So anyway, if you're curious about what's happening in the background, that's what happened.
Okay, so first up, we got, I guess I could just say them by parts or months or days or whatever. First up, we got part 6 in the classroom. Hanyu joins the club in a physical form, claiming to be a distant relative of Rika's. But Reina feels like she's been with them all along. We then cut to a hotel where Akasaka investigates a politician connected to Tokyo and comes across documents on the ABC project's funding for the EDA clinic, which reminds him about Rika, so he gets in touch with Oishi. In part 7, we go to the Furude Shrine. The club spends some time with Hanyu at the shrine, and we see how Hanyu became a scapegoat for the village's sake in her own time, leading to the cult of Oyashiro-sama. Takano and Tomitake visit the shrine, which causes Hanyu to frantically try to remind Rika what Takano did to her since she's forgotten once again. Akasaka meets with Oishi. Akasaka finally mentions Rika's predictions, after all these years, all of which are accurate and detailed enough to surprise Oishi and the coroner. They plan to work in secret and prevent her death this year. At the Furude Shred, Hanyu explains the situation to Rika, who still can't remember the last fragment. So they try to make plans to move forward with Hanyu as an active participant so that this can be the final world. But then there's Higurashi, so I guess. We then see Nomura's call. Nomura promises to make sure the Prime Minister reads all of Takano's documents and force the world to acknowledge her research. She plans to put Emergency Manual 34 into action on June 22nd and speaks with many people to get things arranged. Part 8, back at the school. Rika asked EDA about the consequences of her death. It said it was at the school. Well, maybe you went to school. Anyway, Rika asked EDA about the consequences of her death and who could stand to gain from such a thing, and learns about Emergency Manual for the first time, and that it happens every time she dies. EDA thinks that Takano wouldn't have a motive for trying to kill her, and Rika points out that their plan to cure the syndrome in 3 years would conflict with her desire to research everything she can about it. Rika tries to ask her friends for help, coming up with an idea of what to do, framing it as a fictional story, as per Hanyu's suggestion, so that they will believe her. Mion suggests that politics would play a role in their motive to destroy the village, and the researcher might be upset that they'll never receive recognition if their work gets swept under the rug in secret. They all try to figure out how people like themselves would be able to work together and use their strengths to fight back against an enemy like Tokyo, settling on guerrilla warfare centered around Satoko's traps and their own individual approaches to tactics as a team. At the Furude Shrine, Rika meets with Ide and Tomitake to discuss Takano, and they come to realize that someone might have been manipulating her and taking advantage of her pain to push her into this. Oishi and Akasaka arrive, and all but Oishi decide to go in together on this and make a plan of action, where Tomitake and Ide will investigate Takano on their ends and try to find a way to prevent things from happening. Oishi still isn't sure about it, but finally understands that the Sonozakis are not behind the desk like he thought they were. They decide to hide Rika in the Sonozaki basement until with Hanagashi. and Akasaka will stay in Rika's home to give the impression to the mountain dogs that she's just staying home sick. Satoko joins in on their plan, and things move forward. Part 9. Rika and Satoko both call out of school with a cold. Mion asks the other students to meet at her house after school. Mion asks the other students to meet at her house to discuss something serious. Then we go to the clinic. Ide tries to talk to Takano to get to know her, since he realizes they haven't really spent that much time together outside of a work environment. And she tells him about her connection to Hifumi Takano, causing him to realize how much it must hurt her for them to handle her life's work the way they have. Takano doesn't feel like she has any more options, and there's no more hope for her work at this rate. Takano then calls Okanogi to have him start observing Rika early. He arranges all of his units to go to their individual stations and begin sabotaging infrastructure and begin observation. At Rika's shack, or shed, whichever you want to go with, traps go off, informing Akasaka that observations have begun. Ide arrives under the pretense of giving the girls a checkup. Takano's noticed that Rika hasn't gone to school in a while, and she wants to take charge of the situation. Ide thinks that if they can find evidence of her plans, they can call in the Bloodhounds from Tokyo to overpower the mountain dogs and shut everything down. Akasaka teaches Ide some methods of sending a distress signal through the phone by letting it ring in specific patterns to get around it being wiretapped. At the Sonozaki estate, we see Mion talking to her friends and explaining the situation. They make a plan. Several plans, actually. Akasaka will come in as emergency defense, Tomitake will gather intel and report to the Bloodhounds, and they decide to fake Rika's death to make Tokyo scrap Emergency Manual 34, since it's supposed to go into effect within 48 hours of her death. If they pull it off, it will look like 48 hours have already passed by the time that they notice her body, and the predictions aren't happening as planned, so they won't be able to pull off their own plans. Oishi meets with the kids, and Hanyu assures him that the Sonozaki will look after him if anything goes wrong, to get him in on the plan. Tomitake then has his own investigations. The watchdogs have been looking into Takano's actions since she joined the ABC project. The watchdogs have already found suspicious financial activity. They inform him of Koizumi's relationship to Takano, and the fact that his assets were liquidated, and gave Takano 1 billion yen for her research. He realizes that she hasn't been using any of it for personal reasons, so this could all be set aside for something very dangerous. She could destroy everything by bringing the mountain dogs and sponsors to set off Emergency Manual 34, and wants to believe that someone's manipulating her into this. In Part 10, at the shrine, Oryo also visits to check on Rika and Satoko. Ide wants her to leave them alone, for obvious reasons. They can't let the plan go off yet. And Oryo says that if Satoko dies, the issues of the Dan conflict will never end. Oryo wants Ide to look after Satoko, and doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. In Okinomiya, Oishi begins his part of the plan with Kumagai and his coroner friend, then visits the graveyard to pay respects to the foreman. Akane Sonozaki and Shion also visit and bring flowers to his grave, which Akane has done every year since his death. They all agree to settle their differences and work together. Nomura calls again, to Takano this time. Takano tries to suggest bringing Tomitake onto their side instead of killing them, but Nomura says there's no point. Takano is unable to get in touch with Tomitake at his hotel, and feels like their relationship is falling apart to the extent that she can't hope for him to look after her anymore. She knows that things have gone wrong, and this wouldn't honor Hifumi's work, and wishes Tomitake would force her to snap out of this since she can't do it herself. She falls into a flashback to abuse at the orphanage and feels that she deserves that kind of torment again, and that she has no right to a happy future. Back at Rika's shack, Ide checks on Akasaka. Ide informs Akasaka that Takano wasn't able to get in touch with Tomitake, but she hasn't realized what he's up to. But the mountain dogs have started to make their move. Ide notices Takano visiting the shrine. Takano asks where Tomitake went, and Ide changes the subject to keep her from getting too suspicious. At the Sonozaki estate, Oishi catches up Mion on his side of the operation and lets her know that they're good to go. Tonight will mark 48 hours since Rika's disappearance. They all plan to attack at dawn, and take advantage of the curse associated with Watanagashi. We move to part 11, which is the longest part. A lot of jumping back and forth. The mountain dogs receive report that Rika Furude has been dead for 48 hours. Takano insists that it's a fake, like how she was planning to fake her own death. Mountain dogs go to check on Tomitake. At the police station, Oishi and Kumagai get ready for the next stage. At Tomitake's hotel, the watchdogs report to Tomitake that Rika has been dead for 48 hours, which he realizes must be part of their plan. The mountain dogs then move in to take him, but he's not there. Okanoki realizes that Tomitake must be at a different hotel. Okanoki tries to resolve this to prevent their operations from being discovered. At the police station, Oishi and Kumagai prepare to stall for time if anyone comes to examine Rika's supposed corpse. A man from higher up, which he has a previous relationship with, who is implied to be working with Tokyo here, I guess he must be. Oishi refuses to let him by and wrestles with him, just straight up wrestles with him in the lobby. The man Otaka then claims that the request to investigate Rika was placed by Representative Sonozaki. However, Akane and the real Sonozaki representative appear and expose his lie, then beat him. Back at HQ, Takano asks Irie about the situation with Rika, and Irie plays dumb. He doesn't feel like he can help her, so he's not going to try. He wants her to be a better person. He says, no, you won't reach your hand back out, so I'm not going to reach mine out. Miyamoto calls again. She implies that if this situation isn't handled, they'll back out of the operation and nothing will happen. Takano is certain that she can't trust Irie or Tomitake, and there's something going on with them. She demands that the dogs investigate the home more thoroughly, but they don't obey her and stay put. Okanogi dispatches units to find Tomitake, who jumps out of his hotel window from the second floor and runs. The dogs then report that they've managed to catch up to him. Takano informs Tomitake that Takano informs Tomitake that he's developed terminal symptoms. Oh, no. I'm sorry, I must put the wrong name. I think she talks to Irie there. Anyway, Irie realizes they intend to torture Tomitake and get information out of him. Irie thinks that he's the only one who can rescue him and that his own life is in danger. The dogs intercept a call that Irie makes to Rika's house where he lets the phone ring. They see him escape from the clinic out the back door and realize he made a fake call and go to catch him. He gets into his car and drives, pursued by the dogs. They make plans to shoot out his car tires and break his legs to prevent him from getting outside of town. His car spins out and he goes off the road. In Hinamizawa, Akasaka heeds the emergency call and escapes the house into town. The dogs notice his escape and try to follow, but he's too fast for them. He turns around and goes back to fight them to stop them from following him any further. Back at the outside of the town, Irie runs from the car into the woods. Shion and Kasai pass by his car's wreck and go to rescue him. Notes the bullet holes in the car, goes, oh, yeah, we need to take care of this guy. So they take him to the Sonozaki estate. He drives in a way to throw off the pursuers, but they track him through the location tracker that they put in his coat. They go to the basement, which the mountain dogs watch them go into, and the dogs make plans to use explosives to blow up the basement entrance to coincide with the festival of fireworks at 10 a.m. Everybody inside tries to take the tunnel to get out, but the dogs manage to catch up and take Shion and Kasai hostage. Rika exchanges herself for both of them, knowing that they won't kill her. When she's taken outside, Akasaka arrives and saves Rika from the dogs with his armor-piercing punches. Since the dogs can't use guns above ground, they retreat to try to make another plan to take them down. Akasaka and Rika go back into the basement and leave through the tunnel. Irie tells Shion that Satoshi is still alive. Akasaka asks to check Irie for a tracking device and finds it on his jacket. Team splits up into a decoy unit and an attack unit, one to draw the dogs away and one to rescue Tomitake. Shion insists on going to the clinic to see Satoshi, and Rika takes the decoy button. Back at HQ, Takano tells her plans to Tomitake, who is being held in the clinic basement. He tries to convince her that she doesn't have to do this and learns that Takano plans to kill herself once the operation is complete. He refuses to help her with the plan under any circumstances, and she leaves. Okanoki informs Takano of the club's escape into the mountains. She commands the dogs to capture Rika alive, and they can kill the rest if they have to. In the mountains, Mio and Arena reach one of Satoko's hidden bases. The traps slow down, injure, and ensnare the dogs, with barbed wire, steel wire, pits, etc. Hibari 13 tries to follow Satoko into a field and capture her, but instead gets psychologically destroyed by an 11-year-old and falls victim to a barrel trap. The club regroups at one of the secret bases. Mion gives orders to the club members to split up and lure dogs into designated spots. Back at the clinic, Ide, Akasaka, Kasai, and Shion enter. They get the drop on the dogs playing poker and tie them up in the bathroom. In HQ, the dogs see Ide at the security door to HQ and try to fire, which sets off the alarm. Kasai goes into shotgun mode and gets the situation under control. Ide takes down another guard by pretending to inject him with a stronger variant of H-173 and goes on a rant about maids. They reach the room where Satoshi is being held. Ide explains to Shion that they can't wake him up right now due to his condition, but he's certain he'll improve, and she needs to keep his status secret until he wakes up. Back in the mountains, Takano heads out herself to face the kids on her own. The dogs continue getting taken out by the traps and being mentally worn down. Okinogi sends the dogs to gather their rocket launchers and most powerful weapons. At the road, Akasaka drives towards the roadblock that they set up. Shion and Kasai snipe at the dogs from far away to prevent them from they're in a limo. I'm sorry. The car that they're in is bulletproof. Tomitake returns fire and forces the dogs to stop following. They get to Okinomiya, where Tomitake gets in contact with the bloodhounds and fills them out the situation, where they are then order an arrest for Takano. Akasaka and Tomitake decide to go back to Hinamizawa to help out with the rest. Back in the mountains, Takano orders Okinogi to capture Mion. Mion and Okinogi square up in martial arts, and Mion defeats him. Then it starts to rain. The Bloodhound watchdogs appear in the helicopter, demanding this Takano surrender. She and Okinogi both flee. Akasaka and Tomitake regroup with the club. The watchdogs have already retaken the clinic and rescued the inhabitants. The mountain dogs surrender, aside from Okinogi, to the Bloodhounds. And Hanyu disappears. Takano refuses to give in and demands that Okinogi do something to stop this. Okinogi informs her that Tokyo won't be backing up their operation since it's been more than 48 hours since Rika's apparent death, throwing the Queen Carrier and colony collapse theories into dispute. Okinogi tells her that no one in Tokyo actually cares about whether her theory is real, only that it's believable and could be used for their own political gain. He throws her scrapbook on the ground and steps on it. Takano is then given a gun and told to kill herself. If she dies, she can take the blame for everything and it can be swept under the rug. Okinogi then says that he'll shoot her himself if she refuses to do it. He tells her that the plan was set up by Nomura. Her codename was Cuckoo, and Takano's name was Baby Bird. Nomura intended to hijack Takano's work and resources inherited from Koizumi from the start. A gunshot goes off, and the Bloodhounds arrest Okinogi. He says that Takano ran, and he fired a warning shot at her. Takano runs through the woods in the rain just like when she was younger. She hides inside a hollow tree and contemplates killing herself. Self-harms by scratching, just as she's been apparently doing for a very long time. She then notices Hanyu in the rain. Hanyu tells Takano that she could become a god if she kills herself, and become a lonely immortal without a body. She draws parallels between Takano making herself into a scapegoat and what she endured in her own past. Takano says she doesn't want to be God. She just wanted someone to forgive her for being a human being. Hanyu declares herself the one who can forgive human sins. She tells Takano that she will forgive her sins if she repents and asks for forgiveness. The club members try to find Hanyu. The rain ends, and Takano realizes that Hanyu is the human girl she saw in the club. Rika and the others find her. Takano points her gun at them and tells Mion that no one else will get shot if Mion steps forward. She admits that she only has one bullet, but she can still kill Mion with it. She uses a game analogy to demonstrate how she feels she must sacrifice another to move the burden off of herself. Hanyu steps in front of Mion and insists that if someone must take the burden, it should be her. Takano fires, and the bullet hits an invisible wall. She starts to move the bullet back, which prompts Takano to call her a monster, breaking her concentration and allowing the bullet to pass through. But in stop time, Rika reaches out and grabs the bullet. She holds the bullet against herself and uses her own game analogy to invert Takano's. Their game involves a missing card rather than an extra card to be passed off. Since Hanyu representing the missing card is here, no one has to lose. Time resumes, and the club members think that Takano just missed. but Rika wished for a miracle where no one had to be sacrificed. Takano runs, but the bloodhounds arrive and surround her, then stop on her work. Tomitake arrives with them and tells them to stop. He points out the scratches and tells them that she has Hinamizawa syndrome. They think that she must be immune to it from the vaccines, but he points out that the inoculation is not 100% effective. There are other methods of passing the syndrome along. He then says that her actions are indicative of the disease and she cannot be held liable for what happened. Instead of being arrested or killed, she should be taken for observation and treatment. Takano cries against him, and he tells her that she can start over as Miyoko. She asks if he's saying that she's allowed to live and be forgiven. He says even if the world won't forgive her, he will, because death won't atone for her sins, and he cleans the mud from her scrapbook. Everyone survives. Hanyu intended to go back to not being part of the world when the game was over, but the miracle allows her to stay. Hanyu hugs Rika and notices the bullet as proof of their miracle. At the festival, no tragedies take place. No one realized anything bad was going on since they came up with reasons to cover everything up, and everyone has a fun time. Hanyu finally gets to experience the festival for herself. Everyone does the cotton drifting ritual at the river, and by doing so, they forgive themselves and wash themselves of their sin. Then we move on past where we've been able to thus far. And Rika has a long list of plans for things she wants to do over summer break that she's never gotten to do before. For the first time, she's allowed to make plans and want things. Mion prepares to go off to a good high school. Keiichi is asked to be the next class president, but doesn't want to take over as the next club leader since that's Mion's role. Reina looks after all the younger girls. Satoko spends her time setting up new traps and instructing bloodhounds on her methods. Satoko wants to learn how to cook fried chicken for Satoshi when he returns. Shion goes to the clinic on her days off and buys men's clothing. She also asks Satoko to call her Nene. The clinic stays open because the villagers pleaded with higher-ups to keep it running. Irie publishes work later on to change perception of behavior in the medical field. Takano hasn't been seen since Watanagashi, but Tomitake visits the clinic often. Akasaka's wife doesn't like that Rika refers to Akasaka's papa, but Rika and Miyuki get along like sisters. Oishi gets over his issues with the Sonozakis and plans to move to Hokkaido when he retires. And Hanyu takes over as the new club leader. Then we have the credit roll, which has some further information on what happens with the clinic. The mountain dogs were taken in, and Okanogi and Takano were considered responsible for fraudulently employing EM-34. Irie was not held responsible for Takano and Okanogi's actions, and lost position as director of the clinic, but still allowed to remain at the clinic in a leadership position to maintain business. Takano's past is investigated, and she's considered not liable for her actions due to Hinamizawa syndrome. When she recovers, they'll discipline her. Okanogi is considered responsible, but is being given a lighter sentence for complying. A new director will take over the clinic and wrap up research on the syndrome by 1986. When their business is done, the subclinic will be sealed off and the public clinic will be sold to a private party. Irie will be given priority to buy it for himself. We're then given the epilogue with information about the Onigari no Ryu. It's the most valuable asset of the Furude family kept in a storehouse. A sword sealed inside the statue not seen for 1,000 years. Legends of a girl named Oka wielding the sword, possessing both human and demon blood. Oka is said to be the first person of demon and human blood in Hinamizawa, and all descendants of the village have been that way since. Oka defeated a human god and sealed the sword away. Some legends indicate that Oyashiro-sama is an evil god and the source of the discord within the village. There are disagreements about who Oka really is and who the demon god is. In the staff room, Ryukishi talks about how the way to save everyone also requires that they talk things over and work it out instead of resorting to violence and suspicion. If you talk to others and accept them, you can overcome anything. The idea of everyone coming together and defeating Takano by using her as a sacrifice means it's happy for everyone except her, and she'd be very lonely. So he had to come up with a new enemy for them to overthrow, that being the demon world of man itself. That takes us to the final forbidden fragment, number 52, which you can only get by playing all of the fragments in a specific order. Miyoko goes out to visit her friend. Miyoko's dad tried to tell her that they're going to the mall, but she rushed out before he got to tell her. He decides to pick up a flag for her at the mall since he knows that she really likes them. On the way to visit her friend, Miyoko meets a woman on the street who asked her if she wants to live or die. Miyoko says she wants to live, and the woman tells her to go visit her friend. Miyoko then asks what happens if she says she wants to die, and the woman tells her she'll get another flag. Miyoko then realizes that her family's going to the mall, and turns to go back home. The woman asks if she's certain. Miyoko says she is. She goes back to her family and gets on the train with them. It does move strangely and starts to tip when it goes around a curve. But then we see her back at home with her family. She finally has 20 flags. She doesn't know what good things are going to happen now that she has all 20 of them, but she's certain something will. Van Castell then wonders what other miracles she can grant and what other fragments will happen by switching things around.
Baron Castell?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Anyways.
Frederica Berncastle, the poet. We've heard about her.
Oh, right.
before.
Yes, Rika. Yeah. Okay, yes. For some reason I thought that was like some kind of a hint about like the next series, which I've already forgotten the name of, because my brain, as established, is Swiss cheese. Umineko. Yeah. That's it. We're done. Okay. Before we continue, I want to kind of do an impromptu poll. How many of y'all 100%ed this, like on Steam? Like, did you go back and get Fragment 52?
Yes.
I believe I did.
Yes.
I did it, but not on Steam.
I did it, but I don't have the Steam version of any of these.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
I just have.
It was.
I have like a fucking ancient ass copy of it from like the 2009 release, and then I just have the 07th mod and shit on that.
I just want to bond with people who had to click all of that shit in order. Pain. I fucked up on number 10 at the beginning, and I was like, "Gah!" The entire time. I'm like, "Oh man, if I misclick one of these," because for anyone who doesn't know,
I had to go through that.
What's that?
Order to get my notes in chronological order.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. That makes sense. Yeah, no, it's no, yeah. You can hold control or hit C, and it'll blast through, and that's what I was doing, but it just took a while. No matter what. And then, it was stressful. It was annoying. It was a lot of fragments. It's like, what, 60? 60? Yeah, 65, I just said. All right. Yeah. So, fuck. I guess I'll pull up my really quick notes. Where do we even begin? I do have a bunch of questions for y'all, because I just wanted to kind of figure out like specifics and get like, apparently we got a ton of answers, y'all, so it's like I kind of want to know as much as I can. I want to gobble everything up, but for overall notes, what a fucking lovely, great story. What an ending. Especially I love Ryukishi talking in the finale, the final apparently VLC seems to be looping Rika.ogg.
Is that my internet or?
No, Bob, you're becoming Robo. And now you're gone.
You're cutting in and out.
Hello.
It sounds normal to me now, though.
Does it sound normal now?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Shit keeps happening. Anyway, everything happens so much. Anyway, yeah, so I love the ending with Ryukishi basically saying, "Hey, isn't it dumb when stories like scapegoat people and just make them into like terrible people? Like they blame everything on like, demons and stuff, when really it's just like the world of man and like all that stuff." So I wanted to do a story that didn't do that and like had a happy ending where everyone, even the bad guys, like are accounted for and not killed. And I was just like, man, that's so nice. Like, coming from a game that shall not be named, it's like such a breath of fresh air. And I know I've said it multiple times, but it's just like, it's true. And it's like, you can really tell that this dude cares about people and cares about what he's putting into the world and the kind of sentiments that go along with that and what his work is teaching people. What he's
got hope.
Yeah. And that, there's hope. Oh, we got a new Yawn pick. I did want to say, oh my God, I totally fucking forgot. Yawn, thank you extremely very much. Holy shit, you did so much work. These chapters were so fucking long, y'all. I just want everybody give Yawn a quick round of applause. Like, yay. Holy shit.
Yay.
Holy shit.
Congratulations.
My microphone doesn't pick up the applause, but I did try to clap.
Congratulations. That's what we should have done.
I've got a happy Rika for happy ending.
Happy Rika, happy end. I love Rika talking to a young Takano. That was adorable. Especially since Rika was positioned like with her back to the camera. And Takano's just like, well, hello, ma'am. But she's a kid, so she kind of just doesn't question like this weird lady being like, do you want to fucking die? That happens to me on the street all the time. But
I'm the weird lady asking kids if they want to die.
Oh God.
Oh, so that's what that was.
Yeah. Maybe? I don't know. I didn't look any of this up. Like, this is all just off the cuff. Like,
no, I'm just remembering that time that numbers appeared to me when I was like 5. Oh my God, that was numbers.
Well,
yeah, it was.
Perfect. Legendary anime JP fan too. Still playing Higurashi? Lol. Yes, we are. But we just finished. So anyway,
Mostly.
So go ahead.
Mostly finished.
Mostly. I'm saying it as a troll just because I think it's funny every time I say we're done. Y'all are like, no.
Not quite. Mostly.
So yeah, more notes. The stuff that really stood out to me was the Takano. Like Takano weeping when like her plans have completely been foiled, and she drops the grandpa notes into the mud. She's covered in mud and mosquito bites. She's scratching her arm. She's feeling like utter crap. She's hiding in a stump, and then she comes out to Hanyu being ow ow ow, and it's just like fuck. But I just Tomitake like coming through with shining colors, noticing like what's going on, and yeah, picking up the fucking notes, and then just having her just weep, and it was just God damn it. I'm really, really happy that she did not.
He's living the dream.
How much do you want to bet in the anime she shoots herself? She like swallows a bullet. Like how much do you want to bet?
No. The anime does change one thing, which is she shoots and it just misses Hanyu. Rika doesn't get to do her big damn hero moment.
Oh, interesting. She doesn't become Neo from the Matrix.
No, unfortunately, she doesn't get to become Smug.
Damn it. I love Smika. Well, it's I guess it's Smug and Rika. That's what my brain did. It smashed Smug and Rika into Smika. Anyway, yeah, so more notes. God, also Mion like screaming for Shion when she was captured. That was rough. That was affecting. Fucking every time Akasaka showed up, like the main one with Akasaka showing up, to when he turns back around, heads to the estate when Rika's been captured and she's about to be injected with whatever that was, and Akasaka just goes, the text on the screen it's Rika, I came back to you or something. It's just it was such a funny cadence to it. And just when he starts kicking the shit out of everybody, and I'm over here like, y'all can't just shoot his ass. But at the same time, it's fine. It's a story. Who cares?
He's Jotaro Kujo.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just shoot Jotaro.
No, you can't.
That just makes him
having,
angry.
It's like having guns in Ip Man. Oh wait, the ending of
They
Ip
did
Man,
say that they weren't allowed to use them because they were
Yes.
above ground and caused too much noise, but
which is ridiculous. But whatever. Like, fine.
It makes a lot of sense because the weapons they have are like semi-autos, which is like super illegal in Japan.
Mm.
Well, at least illegal for regular people to have, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of nuts to me with the whole explosion thing and then that whole nonsense. It is what it is. I'm not here to Cinema Sins Higurashi, please. Like, no, I'm going with the flow. I love that. I love when his avatar turns to the the stance, and he gets prepared to do battle with Okanogi, and it's just, oh my god. And then Okanogi fucking like double taps him with like the punch to the head and then the punch to the, what was it, the stomach or the gut? And Akasaka's like, too weak. He's like, huh? What? I said it was too weak.
Nani?
Nani?
There's a line from
Hi.
not from Akasaka, from Shion that I really like, where she's like, Keiichi, I don't think you know how to use a Kalashnikov. I'll be fine. Pretty girls don't die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Determined girls never die. Yeah.
Pretty girls don't die.
Yeah, that whole thing. You see, it for me, it kind of oscillated wildly between like really believable and then anime kind of fun. Like, okay, I'm all for this bullshit, as opposed to the anime, oh dear God, why is he talking about maids and telling this man to put his ass in the air? Like, he just don't care. Like, Irie.
Brackets positive.
Irie, what are you doing? Anyway, yeah, there's positive anime bullshit. There's negative anime bullshit. We all know this. Anime fans know this. It's just
Anime is a land of contrasts.
That it is.
Anime is mostly a mistake until it isn't.
Yes. I also love the setup. Like, Jan, you mentioned it a little bit, but Satoko's magnum opus is just a barrel to the face. Oh God. And that dude got an avatar out of nowhere. It like got character art. Like that dude that got barreled.
13. He loves Golgo 13, you see.
Ah, yes. Got absolutely devastated by a barrel. Anyway, so yeah, more I guess another thing I wanted to point out was Takano's cuff when she points the gun in that one art section. That art that was what do they call those, CGs, I guess. In that CG where she's pointing the gun, her cuff says Ein Japan, which German Ein is one, so one Japan, which is interesting. I don't know, I noticed that. Anyway, there was the other thing when Mion was threatened in that scene because basically the Takano's like, I'm just going to shoot one of you. Yeah, I got one bullet. I'm going to kill one of you. Which one should it be? And Mion's like, do me. Everyone get back. Do me. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, didn't they just say something about everybody wearing bulletproof vests? And I thought that was going to be the twist where it was like, oh, yeah, shoot her. And then she gets back up. Classic action movie twist. The scene where, you take the shirt, or you rip the shirt and there's the vest and you pick the bullet out and it's like, yeah, and everyone cheers and applause. I thought that was going to happen, but no, Rika reached into space time and yanked out a bullet. Anyway, so yeah.
Just witch things.
It's just Rika things.
Bullets are still really hot when they're just fired. They just got exploded. And she's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah. I love the idea of negating like physics and time and space and all that shit, but then maintaining that the heat of like she reaches and grabs it while it's stuck in air and as time has stopped and she goes ow 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 ow
Ow. Ow.
Ow, 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 ow. That's why
she does the hot potato with the bullet.
But yeah, y'all. I mean, I don't really have many notes other than goddamn. I love where Takano got off. I love that she didn't. Yeah, that the bad thing didn't happen to her. But also, that's a question I had for y'all. Does she really have Hinamizawa syndrome?
Yes.
I think it's. I was like, I'm pretty positive that she does. But at the same time, like it was a little bit of a big thing a little bit of much to chew. But at the same time, it totally makes sense because you remember the thing that her grandfather was trying to do, which was basically say like, no, if you get Hinamizawa syndrome, like researching this, I'm going to teach you exercises that'll cure it and that'll help like maintain, like even if you get it, you won't ever go terminal.
The funny thing is that like the Takano method that he was working on there is also essentially just like exercises and methods to handle like PTSD flashbacks as well, like deep breathing, doing exercises in that way, trying to remember to trust those around you and not fall into suspicion and despair. It's like it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like either rendition I like because like if she had Hinamizawa syndrome, it makes sense. But if they just covered for her, that's also works well for like I don't know Tomitake. I think it really suits his character.
Yeah, I think my read was that people were covering for her more than her literally having it, but I can go either way. I am neutral on this question.
Yeah, it really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, it's pretty poetic if she got it when she was a kid from helping her grandfather research this, or later on, and she was just one of the few who was resistant to inoculation. That explains a lot. My question is like, when did she get it? Did she come like if she did get it? What did she get it from researching later in her life, or did she get it early on?
Gail had something.
What? Oh, I mean, Bob was talking. He can finish what he's saying.
No, I'm done.
Oh. Ryukishi actually addressed this, I think, in an interesting way in an interview, because like he pretty much explicitly says like Hinamizawa syndrome is in of itself just a scapegoat. So whether or not Takano had it, it doesn't matter because. Let me read actually this little excerpt from an interview that I found very, very interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was literally gonna say Hinamizawa syndrome is kind of a scapegoat anyway. So,
Yeah. So Ryukishi said the good thing about Hinamizawa syndrome is that you can get away with calling it a viral disease. Don't you think mental illness as an excuse is unacceptable? When a murderer is caught and told he's going to the hospital because he's mentally ill, it's hard to accept. But when a train crashes and the driver is told he has apnea syndrome, I feel sorry for him. I feel that the world can understand organic diseases, but they don't understand mental diseases. So Keiichi beating Reina and Mion to death when taken by itself and reported publicly is a story about a mentally ill boy who beat two of his classmates to death. However, if readers can look at it that he has Hinamizawa syndrome, they will look at it as he is a victim too. Keiichi's sins are forgiven because of Hinamizawa syndrome, or in other words, because Hanyu takes it upon herself. He's forgiven because it's viral. That's what she's referring to when she says that she's taking the sins of others, because she's literally reframing the idea of their mental illness and turning it into something that society will accept rather than reject.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, sorry. This chapter was huge. Lot of stuff going. I mean, even just this chapter, not even like talking about like everything that happened in the damn arc, but like, yeah, wow. So yeah, that was one of my questions. I guess it doesn't really matter if it has an answer. I had a few more questions about Hanyu, but I've also been talking for a while, and I'd like to turn the floor over to Elise. Elise.
Terribly sorry. Can I pass? I'm having to take care of a minor emergency right now.
Oh, sure. No worries. Hope everything is okay.
Good luck.
Hey, Lara.
Hey.
Do you like Higurashi?
Yeah.
What'd you think of this? What'd you think of the ending to Higurashi?
I think it was a fantastic ending. Like I was just going with the flow really, and like it just like blew my expectations out of the water because you as the ending like rolls onto itself, it's like a snowball really. And like even if you kind of suspect, oh, everything is gonna turn out all right, there's like enough stakes to just make you feel tense at all times. You're just like, oh no, what if it doesn't work? What if things go wrong anyway? What if like every hope and every effort that they put in just like turns out to not have been enough, you know? But that's like what Ryukishi does really well, is that he takes all of that tension and transforms it into something like really satisfying, like a really satisfying ending, just like for all of the characters and for all of the situations. You just kind of like see and hope, and like when Irie's escaping and he turns and goes to like jump over the guys, and you're like, fuck, I hope he makes it, but he doesn't make it, and you're like, oh god damn it, he got captured, but then it all turns right. It all turns around all right in the end, and I think like that's I just think the how it's executed, it's really cool. Like all the action, like you can really focus on like all the character feelings and all, and like it's really good character story that Ryukishi is really good at, but like the action is also really fun. Just Akasaka beating the fuck out of people is cool as well, and just like he takes all of these he takes all of these elements and puts them together in a way that is really satisfying. And I just really liked it. And the fact that there's really no villain in this story, it's really like a story of just bad things happening and just people reacting to those bad things as best as they possibly could at the time, you know?
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of what you were saying. It was man, I like stories that show you like various like now I'm starting to put together like because this arc was, you know, it exists like siloed on its own for me. It's just like now I'm realizing, oh right, all of the stuff that we had been like every like fucking chapter, all of that stuff came together to give you a really holistic idea of who these characters were, what their motivations were, and how they can be manipulated into doing terrible things by a disease. And it's really interesting to look at a character like Shion and then look at who she was in like arc 2 and arc 5. And it's just like incredible. And then she finally and some Black Femme was talking about that. I'm using that to go directly into your question, some Black Femme. How do we feel about Satoshi being alive? I think it makes sense with the story that Ryukishi was telling. I think that it makes sense, especially with what Laura was saying about like, you know, doing a story where it's just like, you know, you just kind of having fun and just like kind of doing it for, you know, not really having too serious stuff happen, even though considering everything that happened, it's kind of funny for the finale to be like, you know, this reminder, this series, this visual novel started off with two girls being brutally bludgeoned to death with a baseball bat by their close friend. So now we're here where everyone's okay, everything's fine, and no one died. Well, I did have I had a little nitpick when they were like, yeah, no one died, everyone's alive. And I'm like, okay, Rika's parents, Stoko's parents.
No, it's fine. They sucked.
No one died today.
No one died
Just
today.
this once.
The manager.
Just this once, Bob. Everyone lives.
The manager.
All of the people that mattered lived.
Yeah.
No one died today except
Fucking
maybe some
rude.
of the fascist paramilitaries.
Yeah, true.
Maybe.
Yeah, some people maybe got Shion.
Shion was literally shooting people with guns. She probably killed a man.
Look, when the Bloodhounds picked up some of the mountain dogs, some of those guys did not make it back to base.
Shion.
Some of them fell out of the helicopter.
Shigari 13 only mentally died. I think that he's fine.
Shion definitely double tapped someone.
1,000. She went. What was that Keanu Reeves movie? The fucking.
She went John Wick on everyone.
Shion Wick. Yeah, perfect music for thinking about Shion double tapping a dude and then breathlessly moving from one room to another with weighted movement, shooting everybody in the head multiple times.
When Shion got the gun, she just saw like a multiplier show up, and she's like, "Well, I have to always get headshots."
Well,
Shion with the Doom HUD.
Her little animated face. Her little
Shion and Kasai are like the duo. She's the scalpel. Oh, she's the hammer and he's the scalpel. She's like one tapping people, and he's like 360 no scoping the rest.
Oh man,
that's how they work together.
Holy shit!
Saw how much damage she did with a stun gun. Now imagine.
It's true. Kasai
gun.
Kasai being just a complete one-man army when it comes to guns is so fucking funny to me. Where it's just like, okay, Kalishnikov, perfect, good, ready to go. Oh, what's that? I get to use my shotgun now? Okay. Let's intimidate the fuck out of motherfuckers. Oh, we need a long range sniper? All good. Let's go, buddies. Like, fucking hell, man. Kasai, I am sorry I doubted you. And Akasaka, I'm sorry I doubted you.
Kasai saved my life.
I really thought Akasaka was going to be bad. Because thinking it through, if we were talking about this story, if like nothing spiritual, nothing like there was no Hanyu popping up, like it makes the most sense if Rika said that and then he planted it into his brain. Like that's really the only other person who would know about all that stuff. But now it's like I look like a fucking idiot because none of that was. Yeah, he was the exact opposite.
I love Weed
There's
Zonk
no
Time
Weed
Cop.
Zonk Time Cop?
I love it so much.
And then Ryakishi even was talking about there could be an alternate future or an alternate version of events where Akasaka was told to go to or worked for the Mountain Dogs, and I'm like, what?
I mean, he very much did get told directly, these people will die in this way, on this time, in this year, and he's like, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
why
I'll
didn't
deal
he
with this
listen to
later.
that info anyway? Like, why wasn't he keeping tabs on that anyway? Anyway, whatever. He was working out like a lot, so can't really fault him too much. All right, fellow Higurashi first time enjoyer Talsriel, are you there?
I am.
Would you like to talk about your feelings regarding Higurashi, the finale, the end of Higurashi?
Certainly. So I guess one of the first things I want to highlight is during the big trap scene where there was the one bit where everyone kind of takes turns on this one hapless mountain dog, not Skylark 13, but someone else. But just having the one scene where everyone gangs up on him. Hanyu starts off all ow, 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 charging him, and then Satoko drops a bucket on him. And my favorite part of this is that the bucket has all these cute characters, and Rena tells him, "Take them home with you," which I just thought was a fantastic line, inverting her catchphrase to say, "Hey, here's a consolation prize. Go home." But besides that, most of what has been, I'm pretty well in line with most of what's been said so far as everyone being able to get the good ending. But I do have, I don't know if we want to drill deeply into this quite yet, but in the staff room, Ryukishi kind of turns over ownership of Higurashi to all of us, the fan base, and very strongly encourages us to write fanfic, in so many words, to take control for ourselves and to examine our own fragments for timelines. And one of the very interesting things he said was that in the staff room, he says that Takano's ending in Matsuribayashi and Satoko's resolution in Minagoroshi weren't really good endings for them, which is surprising because certainly I thought Matsuribayashi was pretty good for Takano, all things considered, and we could have a good conversation at some point what could be done and when better to get the better future that Ryukishi thinks is possible.
Yeah, I don't know about the fanfic stuff. That's it is what it is. Like,
yes, how well actual people do taking that guardianship is another thing. But I certainly saw in the staff room as he was handing it off to we, the fan base, and perhaps with a bit of optimism in his heart.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because at the same time, like, you know, you got to kind of embrace that the fan art. You know, what are you gonna do? Say no, don't do that, and then, you know, fuck everything up. Like,
and he does want people to engage with it and think about it, and like I think he mentioned before, like, people came up with their own solutions, and he's like, oh, that actually sounds cooler than what I already had planned. And it's things like that, you know, people like you always, like, as a writer of these kinds of things, you always want people to try to engage with it and think about it, and, you know, do it respectfully, of course, but like,
right,
hand it over to them as like as a collaborative thing almost, because like you know, it can really, it's a really valuable experience, I think. And I think it's good that he still has, or is trying to have, hope that we can handle it responsibly, even though most of us don't.
Well, and yeah, I would include with that, he comes from the doujin community, which is at its core a derivative community. Like, in the 90s and early 2000s, original doujin works were very uncommon. People usually went to places like Comiket to buy, like, merchandise or like doujinshi fan comics or like fan books of, like, you know, their favorite series. That's what 07th expansion opened up with doing. They sold card games. They made card games based on other popular media and sold them. So when he's talking about that, like, it's because he himself did that, and that's the reason that he has gotten to this point himself. And he even mentions in his development blog, I didn't post this in the document, I should have. Let me try to summarize it off the top of my brain. He basically said, I cannot, like, say you can just make whatever you want, but also I'm not saying that you can't make things. Like, I'm not liable for the things that you make. You have responsibility for the things that you make. And if you make something that's, like, harmful or hurtful, you have to deal with those consequences. But I don't want to stop you from the potential of making things. So just keep that in mind as you're making media.
Yeah, because it's, you know, putting yourself out there comes with the, you know, natural danger or issue of fucking up. You know, the act of speaking means that you can say something that hurts someone else. So you need to be prepared to take responsibility for what you do and say. And yeah,
and if I can add in my own experiences here in terms of, like, just with making a VN, and putting out work like that and having like characters out there to be handled by fans. In the past, I've had people handle my work very poorly, very irresponsibly, in ways that were very uncomfortable and didn't react well when I asked them to be more respectful. And I've mentioned this, but there's been a lot of difficulty with my own work in the past that made me very hesitant to do this same thing where that he's doing of handing it over to other people and trusting them to be good about it. But I think I've been able to gain that faith again just by talking with you guys and Gail, especially with my own work of like handing it over and letting it be read and examined. And I've been able to have that readership experience myself with Gail and with my roommate, of people engaging with it in good faith and actually adding something to it. It is a very special feeling. So I think I understand why he values that so much. Of course, asking people to be responsible and respectful with it, but not wanting to close that door, because it is a very lonely feeling to actually close that door and to shut people off from doing that. It feels much better when you can trust others to read it and take it in good faith and do something interesting with it. And I've already seen some of that myself in just this little bit that I've experienced. And I think, it is interesting, at least for me, to go through this on my own and compare it to his experiences. It's not exactly the same, of course, but it does feel kind of hopeful, at least from my end, that it feels like things can go well for me, I think, just looking at this. And what you guys have done so far makes me feel more confident that there are good readers out there who actually can look at these things and analyze them and understand them in a respectful and constructive way. So, this has been a very special experience for me so far that I think has been healing as well. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining and doing this with me. And it's totally, I totally resonate with that. It's tough. I've also done work where it's just not, it's not like the reaction to it isn't like kind of what I intended, or people are very walled off and don't want to engage with me, in the way that I wanted, which is openly. And so I can totally relate to that. It is incredibly frustrating, alienating, because that's one of the main things about this story. It's a story about connection. It's a story about social networks, and how you gotta have someone who will. You gotta have someone who will pick up your grandpa's old fucked up notes that are completely covered in mud and wipe them off a little bit and give them to you, and give you a little bit of a hope, I guess. But it's great.
The way that I see it is that, like, I forget where I heard this, but like the idea of art as like a conversation between the artist and the audience, and like a fandom as a kind of extension of that. And the thing I've noticed is that, there's a lot of fandom that sucks. Like, we all know it.
Yep.
But whenever you do manage to find like the right people to engage with this piece of art that matters to you, and like they'll bring like a new perspective, or they'll just have like an interesting like a new perspective, it makes that piece of art so much more important. A lot of like life is very much just like engaging with people and having conversations with people, and the thing is, not all conversations are good. A lot of them can be either like boring or just like a bad conversation, but it's worth it to try for those few good ones, and maybe you'll find that they're not so few and far between.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, speaking as a generally antisocial person who has difficulty sometimes charging my battery to like even do this. Yeah, no, it's like there's a reason why you got to try, you know.
Yeah.
We are social beings. Like we are connected to each other in so many profound unseen ways, not to mention the seen ones. And it really fucking matters what we do and what we say and you know, how we treat each other. And yeah, it's important. So yeah. Highly recommend doing a book club of your own for Higurashi if anyone out there wants to do that. You know, this is the optimal way of experiencing it. So but yeah, let's go and talk to let's go ahead and hey Numbers.
Hey there.
Hey, yeah. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Favorite moment in Higurashi? Go.
Favorite moment, just period?
Period.
That's very difficult.
All right, we'll come back to you. Cat.
That's very difficult.
Oh.
I will I'll put forward one like immediate thing as a moment that will stick with me forever. I've said it before, it's the fucking ending to Arc 2.
That's a strong one. That's a strong one.
It's just really strong. I like it.
Extremely strong. Yeah.
I like the funny Meon Shmeon ghost. It's fun.
That's good shit. That's good shit. Cat.
Yo.
You got a did you want to talk about what's that, Numbers?
That feels so low stakes when there's so many more like emotionally impactful moments to pick from, but like man, it hits me in like a very primal it pulls on the right brain cell and it triggers neuron activation.
You know, that reminds me of something I wanted to talk to y'all about. I'm kind of struggling to remember all of the things that I wanted to talk about because the story just kind of wrapped itself up in such a neat way and it just kind of blindsided me. But I did want to talk about like how this started off pretty hard horror, pretty like to the numbers like horror story. And it did something amazing that I love to see with horror, which it became beautiful. And I love heartfelt, emotional horror. And like, it just kind of made me think of like, what do y'all feel about how I'm just going to say, if you take a horror story and you just let it go, does it eventually become beautiful even after like the terrible shit that happened? Is it just like how like that kind of happens, how like horror's natural end state after the end of the plots? Does it just become like wonderful? Or is it more like this was guided in a very specific way to become what it was? And I think the answer is the latter.
I think this was guided very well to lead there.
It was definitely guided because a lot of horror can just keep being like, you know, itself and just not like eventually going to that angle. So yeah, it takes the hand of an actual person with intent to get an ending like this.
And compassion, I would say. There's a lot of compassion here that a lot of even supposedly intellectual and supposedly artistic horror creators and authors don't have. They oftentimes, focus more on thoughtless and cynical misery over actual compassion, which I feel like Ryukishi excels at, which I think is
I have
really
no
good.
idea what Yon's referencing there. No clue.
No.
Couldn't imagine.
And I would also include like a really interesting, again, I read a lot of interviews before this. Ryukishi actually feels that Matsuribayashi is more of an epilogue than an 8th episode. And that like the true ending, especially in like sort of classical expectations, would be Minagoroshi. Because like in reality, that's more what it would be like. But he actively chose to give it something nice. Like he added the phrase, let it end with a blissful dream to it. And I just think that's a really interesting choice, is like knowing the horror of a lot of people's real life situations, but then much like Rika steps in and just plucks the bullet out of the air, deciding he wants to at least give it a meaningful ending where they do succeed.
Yeah, that's falls in line with like my opinion of this ending, where it's like I'm usually not a fan of like very overly, saccharine endings.
Yep.
Here in this case, I feel like for everything these characters have gone through, them getting a good ending is like deserved.
Yeah. I feel that way.
Yeah, they fought tooth and nail for it.
Yeah.
Nails.
That's also why I like that this second half of this, like from the moment they start planning, is just basically like a fun epilogue, a fun, set up and payoff to everything.
Oh, I forgot to mention, speaking of that, like you just reminded me of the whole Rika and talking to Hanyu about like talking to the group about what's happening to her. And then Hanyu's just like, just talk to them. Like, just, they'll surprise you. And then she's just like, okay. And then she starts talking and everyone's like, oh yeah, cool story. Yeah, let's seriously think about this and consider this. And she's like, wait, they can help me by thinking about it like a story. And Hanyu's like, And it's like, Hanyu knew this the whole time, and like, you should trust your friends. It was a really nice moment where it's like, even if people misunderstand you, they can still be helpful.
I love the hill battle just because it's like one of the best payoffs to these people in a club where they play games with each other.
Yeah.
Setups I've ever seen, where like, Satoko made like a bunch of traps in the hill. I don't know why that detail's in there. Oh, okay, that's a great way of paying that off.
Yeah,
These
for real.
children fight to the death every week.
Keiichi is good with his words. Okay, sure, I'll believe you. Oh, well, I guess he is good at his words.
Yeah, I guess in this case, he would be a great voice actor. Which wasn't voiced for some reason. I thought that was funny. Also, more Vietnam references that were fucking censored. That's happened multiple times, I believe, in this arc alone, where I believe it was it Shion or Mion or Okanogi? I think it was Okanogi, the last one, but someone's just like, yeah, that's why America lost the Vietnam War, and it's just censored. It's so fucking funny to me. Anyway, we do not talk about the Vietnam War.
Satoko gets to make punji pits, but you're not allowed to call them that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah,
but yeah,
Go ahead.
Definitely see this as the epilogue, just because like it wraps up everything in a nice bow. Like I know we have the postscript or the last chapter, but I feel like if we just stopped here and never like absorbed any other Higurashi media, you would be perfectly fine.
What a fucking blow, though, to not get the Satoshi waking up and Shion reacting to that, and the big one, Satoko reacting to Satoshi. Like, am I incorrect in assuming that Satoko doesn't even know that Satoshi is at the hospital at the moment?
They actively, Iria told Shion not to tell her. It's,
right.
It's honestly kind of fucked up, I think.
Yeah, the her making the fried chicken was odd because it was like, oh right, yeah, she's just operating under the assumption that he's coming back at some point in the future. But in that moment, after everything that had happened, and directly like either preceding or antecedent to the scene with Mion going in with a fucking maid outfit, it made me think like, oh, she might know, like they might have told her off screen, and if they did that, fuck, that is extremely rude. Like that's one of the main scenes that I was waiting for this entire fucking arc. It was the scene where Satoko and Satoshi either reunite or she learns how she killed him, which turned out to not be a thing.
Well, how could she kill him if he was going to smash his brain in a jar?
That's true.
Very true.
That's true.
Yeah, I actually think it's really interesting in terms of how kind of menacing it is to a degree, because it's like, yeah, this isn't the most ideal ending. It's in many ways Rika's ideal ending, but like Satoko doesn't get to experience the village coming together for her. Like Ario's kind of like, yeah, we'll forgive her, but Satoko doesn't experience that. Satoko doesn't get to know anything about like the circumstances surrounding her own personal tragedy, and it's tragic.
There are things that are left unresolved here.
Yeah, and I can definitely go ahead.
No. Like as much as I agree with that, I also think like it also just gives a possibility of a future for like everyone. That like eventually those plot points will be resolved.
Yeah, I'm actually.
You're gonna have to spend another at least a couple 100 or more hours before you can even see for maybe if it gets resolved. Have fun with that.
Yeah, and I'm personally a big advocate of Satoshi never waking up, and I'm glad that it never reveals that, because I think it's like Rika's always talking about not knowing whether the cat in the box is alive or dead, and Ryukishi opens up that box so that Rika can leave it, but there's still things left within that you can imagine the scenarios alongside too, and I find that very personally satisfying.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like kind of weirded out by like, when, there's the whole thing about, fans write your own fan fiction. It's like naturally you kind of do that at the end of stories anyway, like in your head, even if you don't like write it out right. Like, yes, there's talking about that stuff, but like, I don't know about you guys, but after, like, I'm always imagining what happens to characters after a story's over, especially with this one, like where they give you so much. I can imagine like so many different ways that this could go. And I'm excited to see one of them soon. But
Takano comes back and starts a podcast.
No, Takano is definitely doing a true crime podcast. Are you fucking kidding me?
Rika gets to be a guest on one of the episodes.
Oh, for real, yeah.
And there's like a really weird underlying tension the whole while. Like you can tell there's some history, but they don't talk about it.
Everybody in the comments of that one says like the vibes here are so crazy.
Tomitake is occasionally whispering stuff to Takano on the recording because he's the one constantly holding the recorder for all.
Tomitake is the producer.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway,
you can like feel Rika staring at her dead in the eye while she does her ad for like Squarespace or something.
Perfect. Oh God, I want to hear.
Hysterically.
I want to hear Hanyu do an ad for Manscaped or some shit. Anyway. Well, Hanyu ad read. What would she be good at? God.
Playing babies.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway. So yeah. Oh man. Elise.
Here in Hinamizawa, we love to cut open mattresses, so that's why you should buy a Casper mattress.
Perfect.
Someone sends her one of those like box of Japanese sweets, and instead of like endorsing the sweet, she's like, "How, wow."
The ad read is nothing but just her screaming. Yeah, what was it? Oh, hold on. I think I have a sneak peek at Hanyu's upcoming podcast. Let's take a listen.
I'm a guest on the next episode of that.
Great stuff.
Well, now I want to buy that product.
How do you even translate that shit? Anyway, oh man. Yeah, so yeah. Elise.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about either your favorite moment or just talk about the ending in general?
Favorite moment is definitely the duel on top of the school at the end of chapter 6.
Nice.
I thought about that right after I gave mine. I was like, damn it, that was a better answer.
Yeah,
there's so many good answers. It's a barrel full of fun.
Mm-hmm.
and traumatized Hibari 13.
Yes.
He's also in the barrel.
Which,
you
by the
reach
way,
around and pull out fun moments around him.
The moment when did anyone else love the Oishi fighting that narc, or not even a narc? What would you call him? Mole?
Otaka, yeah.
That fucking asshole. Yeah, that was funny. I love how it ramps up, and then the perfect timing of like, yeah, no, I know the Sonozaki representative, and then the Sonozaki representative is like, really? You really talk to him? Like, personally? You know him personally. He's like your best friend. Who are you?
That was a really good part.
That was so good. Proceeds to get the shit beaten out of him. I also like the Akane going with Oishi to the grave of the dam foreman. And yeah, it's revealed that they've been going for a while. I also like... oh, what was her name? The old the Sonozaki lady, Oreo. Yeah, I like her just naturally, without anyone prompting, just kind of being like, "Oh yeah, Stoko's great. Yeah, I hope she's okay." And then the whole town's like, "Oh shit, we're cool. We're cool with her now. Okay, cool. We can be not shitty anymore. It's great." So anyway. I'm just farting like ideas out of my brain. So I really, it's like a mess. There's just so much that happened, and I'm still like in the middle of like processing. So
yeah, I think the specific moment in the entire series that I like is the trash yard scene in the 6th chapter with Rena and everyone. I feel like that perfectly encapsulates all of Higurashi and what its message is.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That was one I was going to highlight, especially Keiichi's line of "You're crying right now."
Yeah. Yeah, it really kind of speaks to everything in the visual novel. Yeah, I totally. Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, I think that's my favorite.
I think Higurashi's pretty neat.
Higurashi's pretty neat. All right. Did anyone else have anything to say about like Olo? Did you want to talk about your feelings toward the about the end of this?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see. I was like looking back at my live tweeting of this last year. A lot of it was just like going like, "Oh my god, I'm fucking crying. I love this. This is awesome." And like was it my favorite screen that I posted in the book club discussion of like when they were doing the wrap up of everybody, and it just said Kasai Tatsuyashi hasn't changed much compared to the others. It's like yeah, he's just here. He didn't do anything.
He doesn't need to change. He's perfect as he is.
Yeah,
he's great.
Look at his incredibly thin sunglasses that would absolutely poke his eye out if he slept on them wrong.
Do you think he sleeps with them open?
He sleeps
with the sunglasses on?
Yes. Are you kidding me? He never takes those off. He also sleeps with his shotgun. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, that's just normal. Everybody does that.
Yeah. I've got the bedtime shotgun.
The sunglasses thing is a little weird, though.
I wear my sunglasses to bed so I can something. Anyway. Okay. Did anyone else? Olo, you want to keep going?
Oh no. Just. I really enjoyed the end because I was watching a YouTube playlist for this because I'm terrible at playing games, so I have to. Most of my game consumption is through Let's Plays and no commentary walkthroughs and stuff. But
hey, I appreciate your service.
Was it? I actually haven't read Saikoroshi yet, so I'm looking forward to reading that once we get to it.
I am too. Looking at some of the just like what was it called, the pictures, I guess, from the openings,
the
CGs. I'm really interested in what the hell is gonna go on, and even just thinking about it, it's like, okay, I guess we can end with like predicting that stuff, but we're not over. I did want to do more of a like overall talk about Higurashi, and also I just remembered my favorite scene is probably the Keiichi like desperately pleading for people to give a damn during Arc 3 when Irie comes over and Satoko, it's revealed what's happening to Satoko. And just not for like cool or, oh, great, this is awesome, any kind of things like that. But that one was the one that just like viscerally like fucking like Ryukishi reached out of the game and grabbed me by the fucking the hoodie and shook me. And it was incredible. And I desperately want more media to do that, to just be so full of like passion and have it in such an incredibly important and correct place. And yeah, anyway.
You know that one post along the lines of, I don't know how to explain to you that you should care about other people?
Yes.
Ryukishi spent 100 hours trying to explain how to care about other people.
Exactly. And I guess before we get off of the ending, before I do like more of an overarching like, hey, does everyone like this? Which I think we all agree, pretty bad ending.
It sucks. It's a real letdown. Disappointment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Yumineko even worse.
Oh no.
Yumineko.
Yumineko? I love Yumineko.
Yumid-Echo. It should have ended at Arc 6 like the Studio Dean anime did, which is the ideal form of the story, and I can feel Gale at my window threatening me.
I think I just heard a window open. Just a slide, like I heard a slide.
Oh, hey, Gale, it's been a while. I haven't seen...
Hi.
Perfectly executed. I love the teamwork there. So at one point during the end, Ryukishi says, the point of Higurashi was to have fun. Which I think is very interesting because coming from a pure like sort of analysis mode, it seems like, I didn't realize this, but especially with Arc 8, it seems like the whole point of this story is so that the kids can just have a good, no bad feels, fun time at the festival. Which synergizes perfectly with like, the Higurashi is just to have fun. Let's just have fun, please. Like, just, I really want this to be entertaining. And then you end with like everybody having an amazing time at the festival, and it finally happens and everything clicks. I like that. That's a nice little like part of the ribbon that is the bow that ties this whole thing together at the end.
Oh God, the fucking.
Still
on the favorite. Yes. Still on the favorite scene talk a little bit. It's still in my brain. I really do love the extra fragment, and I wish that it was easier to access because I think that is great.
Oh, the extra fragment is fantastic because that
so
also puts into perspective like what would happen if Takano, all of the bad shit that she went through mattered. Like, it was terrible and it shouldn't have happened, but at the same time, all of this stuff, this entire game wouldn't have happened if she hadn't lived. And she lived, and because of that, it's just another example of the masterful writing with this, where it's just like you could tell like the connections between people and the ripple effect of that how people are harmed comes together, and the triumph of the human spirit and all that stuff.
There's a fucking barrel full of potential favorite scenes, and I feel like you could rifle through that every minute and find a new dozen of them. There's so many good ones.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one that I keep thinking about is the bat biting into Teppei's skull. I just keep thinking about it.
Oh yeah. Dude, that whole scene was fantastic. Just like, oh man, fuck that guy. Fucking asshole. God was coming to him. Anyway. Yeah, I also like to think that, while everybody's like, hooray, no one died. Great ending, S+, no notes. Secretly in the background, fucking Teppei's dead. He's just dead. He's fucking lying by lightning, dead in a gutter.
I just, it's one of those things where how awful it is. He's like, I want this to get worse. I want it to get so much worse. That it was just really good at handling that kind of frantic, manic spiral in a really good way. I really liked it.
Do you think people would play Higurashi knowing its reputation for like being incredibly gory and fucked up toward the beginning, and then it would kind of like bring them like to the, bring them to the light, I guess, in terms of like a wholesome, heartfelt story about empathy and caring about, and having making friends and stuff. Like if someone went into it being like, oh fuck yeah, there's like intestines and then like I love psychological like horror and stuff, and then by the end they're crying and being like, I love Rika, but I'm happy she's safe.
I hope so.
I love that. I love that idea. I love like a story, like doing an incredibly fucked up story and then just doing a complete 180 on it. Bringing
now that I have
around.
your attention, I'm about to teach you what empathy is.
Exactly. Like literally, yeah. I want someone to do that with like a slasher movie, like just gore porn or something, or like misery porn, and then like halfway through it just swerves and is like, actually, if you like that shit, you're fucked up. Let's talk about it.
Something on the tip of my fucking tongue that sounds perfectly fucking like that, and I'm trying to think of it and I can't.
Welcome to my life.
I just like the idea of like you're halfway through playing Dead Space and Isaac turns around and be like, hey, let's talk about this real quick.
Hey.
I'm just thinking of that chat bot that was like that people made for a fetish, and then it's just like, no, if you want to be a good girl, you can't say slurs.
Like speaking of like your favorite moments, I can only think about of Arc 6 and like Reina on top of the car being like bowing to her audience and be like, here's my story, here's my performance.
The story of a girl who tried her very best, I think. It's lovely. It's lovely. It's so low. I love Rena. Rena actually, is Rena my favorite character? I love Rena. Rena's fantastic. Also, I love the moment at the end. You didn't mention it, Jan. You didn't mention it, but the moment at the end where Rena was like, "Hey, everyone was like, Rena, you're kind of like the mom of the group," and then Keiichi's like, "Yeah, and I'm like the dad," and Rena's like, I gotta fucking go. I love that. Secret ship. Rena and Keiichi.
The 180, you talk about like stories going into 180s as well. I think Higurashi does that in a way that is really interesting, where just like Rena like performing quote unquote on top of the car, like each arc is kind of broken down after it ends with the staff rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And they actively discuss it like they just completed a performance, like they just completed a play or like a show of some sort. And I think that's really interesting because it kind of like actively takes you out of the story, but not in a way that makes you think less about it. It makes you think more about it.
Yeah, he really does like to treat his characters as actors at times. I think Gail has mentioned this in the past, of just like playing with the same character or the same concept of a character in a different context or a different scenario and like altering them in some slight way, but still maintaining the same core or something like that. He does do a good job with that idea, I think, of using them in that way.
I would love a story where it was exactly like this, where you have like kind of a character room moment where it's like you have the main story and then the character room where everyone's like, I'm playing a character, but then it's revealed that that's actually in universe and canon, and then like there's like a framing device that's being used as the game itself, but then that's a story that's being written out and like play acted, and then the actual like horrific and horrible stuff is actually going to happen in the fucking like after like story notes and shit. I'm talking out my ass. Anyway, I've got ideas for days. This story legitimately gave me a bunch of ideas for games and also helped me like work through like mentally a bunch of shit, and it's very helpful and useful. Gail, favorite moment?
Honestly, Takano, everything about her in this chapter, but most of all, the scene, all of the scenes in this segment that we read, where she is thinking and talking about all of the reasons that she shouldn't exist or she shouldn't be alive, because I think this is actually something Rikishi's mentioned before, is like, Takano is a character that you don't see a lot in media, where it's like she is an adult who's lived through terrible times and is technically well adjusted and successful, but she's still incredibly well. And there's like even everything about like her scratching herself constantly and whatnot, and you can kind of like see that in that idea of looking at herself as inherently like filthy and all these other ideas, and the willingness and compassion that Ryukishi expresses that with is, I just think it's like the best written stuff in this, and it's like so refreshing to see this from her perspective as someone who is fucked up so badly, is that no one would ever see her as a victim. But not just Tomitake, but frankly Rika does too. Like, Rika this whole time wants to know her motive. She doesn't just consider her a monster. She wants to understand. And so it's like, yeah, Takano, especially that scene where she's up at the shrine and Tomitake isn't there, just that fucking incredible moment. Just horrifying. And Irie comes up instead, and she's just like, God, it's good.
Yeah, doubles down.
She's baller.
Yeah,
I love Takano.
Takano's amazing. Like, the entire time, like, that was the entire like struggle for me, or the tension from this chapter was just me desperately wanting Takano to like come to her senses and just please, don't. Why are you going down this path? And when she was like, am I? Is it too far? Why am I doing this? Like, why? Like, has anyone done something like terrible or like said something awful, and then immediately was like, that was terrible. I shouldn't have said that. Should I say it immediately? Yep. Should I just double down, or should I just, So I empathize with her so fucking much.
And it goes out of its way to show us over and over how like she's losing hope and feeling forced into this, not just through general circumstances, but people like outright manipulating her and playing on her fears. Like Nomura essentially triggering her by saying like, "Look, I'm going to play out your worst fear for you to force you to keep doing this."
Yep.
And that I think, if I'm not mistaken, that leads to her freaking out some more at the shrine. I think that's the span of events there. But like it really does show how like this is not a happy thing for her. This is not a plan that she enjoys in the slightest. Like, she wants to like going into this makes her miserable and makes her feel like she has to die. Like, even succeeding means she has to die.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
It just sucks. It sucks for her.
Yeah, it really does. And then, the moment when you kind of realize that, like, wait, every single arc, Takano probably kills herself after everything is all said and done. Like, there is really no happy ending for her, like, at all. And it's really just fucking sad. And then her story is just so, it really is. This is Takano's chapter, and I'm glad that even though we didn't see it, that she's getting some help. And I would love to have a story where they cure human Misawa syndrome, and I would just like to see a what was her real name?
Miyoko
Tanashi.
Yeah, Miyoko.
We just got to make it to 1986 and see what happens.
Yeah.
Everyone's suspiciously quiet.
And could I add one more thing? Because you mentioned, like, I'm really sorry, because I just love talking about Takano. When you mentioned, like, she probably kills herself every single time after this, it's like, here she doesn't want to die because, like, she hasn't succeeded and she's actually doubting herself so much. But then I think back to, like, Minaguro, where she's like, I am a demon, you have to join me or you're gonna die, to Tomitake, and he rejects her, and she uses this as sort of like her jumping off point to not being a person anymore. And then you have like her conducting this horrific extermination of an entire village, and it's like I could definitely see her framing that as the lead into her suicide versus this where it's like she doesn't want to kill herself because she's realizing, because she's being confronted.
Yeah, and I would like to think also because she's starting to sort of realize what, you know, her personal connections with people like Tomitake mean to her. And yeah. But yeah, no, it's so, like, thinking about all that stuff, it makes me think back to the ending of Arc 7 where you're just like, holy shit, this lady just brutally fucking executed all of these children to this song that just randomly started playing. What the fuck? That is weird. Thanks, Anya. Okay, I'm scared now. Hanyu's real, confirmed.
Do you know
you just realize that she's just deluding herself the entire time. She is just so far gone, and just her rambling about all, you know, becoming a god and all that stuff. Even when the people in her fucking unit are like, "What do you? That's not even the correct usage of that fucking, you know, scripture. What the hell, lady?" It's just so fucking sad. And then, you know, and that's even considering that, you know, she dies of her, you know, she kills herself. I'm sure that a bunch of them are just, you know, the people involved tying up loose ends and also getting a hold of the money that she has. Like, there is, you know, no reason why the people that she has bought to help her out would continue helping her after the event happens. If anything, she is a liability. So get rid of, you know, I could totally see the people involved getting rid of her and then, you know, like throwing that money, you know, possibly getting that money somehow. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I totally fucking feel her. I was really sad when she put the gun up, when she came out and didn't just, like, you know, give up. But instead she, like, holds the gun up, which makes sense now that she has probably Hinamizawa syndrome. But yeah, anyways.
Now you understand why she is our wife.
It's really funny.
I support all of her actions.
Yeah, she isn't even my wife. I when I was 16, I just thought she was relatable.
She's absolutely relatable. She's 1000% relatable.
Yeah. Ryukishi's really good at that, writing characters like her and giving them like actual motive and reason for acting this way without necessarily excusing them. Like, it doesn't mean it's okay what she's done, but
no,
you know,
not by any means.
Making you see her as a person.
There is that line talking about separating the person from their actions, and, you know, to have empathy for the person and condemn the actions. And I think it's important, especially considering this story, to really kind of frame, you know, that, well, you know, fucking man, I just feel so fucking bad for her. Like, every time she loses her mind when she tries to pick up the grandpa notes, it's just like, fuck, right fucking here, dude. Oh my God.
And I feel like he's also trying to show us how these power structures, like, don't even actually benefit the people that they're supposedly set up to benefit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good for anyone, regardless of what side they're on, because that power hierarchy, that structure, that system is built on people continually betraying each other and using each other, only to then, you know, eventually be betrayed by someone else. Like, no one wins in that situation. Like, even if Nomura gets her way, then someone's going to take stuff from her later and betray her later. Like, it's showing, like, that's a cycle of misery compared to how, like, constructive and healthy it can be just to trust people and work together, as opposed to see others as a, you know, exploitable resource.
Means to
an end. I think, you know, he really wants to highlight how those reactionary systems are not good for anyone involved, like even the people perpetrating them. It's just, it's a bad for everyone. It's bad for everyone.
True. Bad. Did anyone else have anything to say? Anything they're itching to get off their chests? And Cat muted themselves.
I can cough into the mic if that's better.
That would have been funny. Like silence and then... I didn't mean to call you out. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I know. I thought it'd also be funny by bringing it up.
All right. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I need to talk about this more, but I can't think of what to talk about, so it's kind of awkward.
So, Bob, after experiencing technically all of Higurashi, what are your impressions? How do you compare, like, your impressions from the very first chapter to right now?
How do I compare them? I would say that Higurashi is one of, I kind of talked about it before, it is beautiful horror, and I love beautiful horror. Like, I fucking love that shit. I think that it really truly, I know I said it on Twitter, but it really went from Silent Hill to Metal Gear. Like, it just morphed. Like, and that's great. It's great. Even down to, like, there was a line that one of the characters said that was a direct line from Metal Gear Solid 4, which was, this is good, right? Like, toward the end, like right at the very end, it's like, this is good, isn't it? And anyway, it just made me think of
one of the only good scenes in Metal Gear Solid 4.
I love that scene. Oh man. And when you realize that,
that scene is phenomenal.
Is a land of contrasts.
You're so right.
On one hand, we get to have Snake and Otacon raising a daughter together, being
as they were always meant to.
Fathers.
That game is a fucking disaster, but it also has the very last scene.
It has Raiden, and it has Ocelot hypnotizing himself.
Raiden does have a sexy new body that he shows off in Metal Gear Revengeance, which is literally the best Metal Gear game ever.
You're right.
It's true. I still need to play that, by the way.
Oh, what?
Wait, you seriously haven't?
No, I haven't played.
You're missing out.
I keep watching the fucking Rules of Nature scene.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is considered by many the Higurashi of character action games.
Jesus Christ.
It actually is really socially aware.
It is.
No, yeah, I heard that. I just haven't.
I'm being facetious when I say that.
It's
there is actually some overlap.
It's that and Sekiro I need to play. I still haven't played Sekiro.
Yeah, I like Sekiro a lot. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I really, really want to get into it. But yeah, just time and, Higurashi turns out takes a long time to play.
Oh yeah, just real
for
quick.
Higurashi is 3 days. I don't know the actual time. I know someone did it, but
how?
As a joke.
Speed run fucking Higurashi.
Mash space.
Jesus. Were you saying something, Kat?
Oh yeah, just real quick. I do want to shout out the scene when they're all in the, on the ground where Hanya's just like, goes completely God. Just be like, child of man, stand aside or else you will die.
Yeah. Oh wait, were you talking about in the cave where
in the cave.
She like psychic projects and like talks to that single one guy, and that one guy has a fucking panic attack and is like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I want to say I think that's my favorite scene with Hanyu, even though there's like other stronger scenes. I don't know, that one scene was great.
Can you imagine just in the middle of a war, like a battlefield, and then just one person is just going through the ending of Annihilation? Just the Annihilation music is just playing constantly. The
earlier. earlier in this stream, we had a big shout out to bears. Shout out especially to the bear from Annihilation.
Annihilation Bear, Screaming Lady Bear, yay! Oh wait, fuck, spoilers. Oh shit.
Shout out.
Annihilation. I read the book. I need to watch the movie.
I was given the book, and then I watched the movie without reading the book, and then I looked at the book, and I was like, oh fuck, that's the book. Oh, I should have read that. People were saying it was really good. Fuck, now I don't need to.
Really
Shit. Well,
and it's different enough that I think it's.
I hear that. Yeah. So I was thinking about picking it back up. But yeah, you want to know something really funny? This is the song.
Oh shit!
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Matsuri 01 Ver 2.
Matsuri. Oh.
We did tell you that one.
Oh fuck.
Oh, it's misspelled.
Oh no. That's why I didn't find it, I guess. Anyway, no one cares. We spent I care. I fucked up by starting the stream with like an hour of me desperately trying to find a specific song, and this is anyway. But yeah, okay. I guess we can wind down unless anyone has anything else to say, or if you want to. Oh wait, no, I didn't answer the fucking question. Yeah, no, I stand by my recommendation for anyone. I think I'm gonna do a video at some point, pointing people directly at Higurashi and telling them to fucking play it, and stay far the fuck away from the anime, at least until they've finished the visual novel. It is like, how do I feel? I went into this thinking that it was going to be more metaphor, I guess. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like grounded, I want to say. I was not anticipating it to become so spiritual, and especially so Matrixy and Ip Man-y, Kung Fu-y toward the end. But by the end, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm on for the ride. We started this out with like horrible death and murder, and midway through, fucking child murder, and well, also Arc 3, the ending of Arc 3 had that fucked up Rika thing. Oh man, thinking about that. Oh, I feel bad for those kids. Anyway, but yeah, no. How do I feel? I feel, yeah, like, yeah. I love horror where it's also like not just horror, or it becomes something else. Like, I love beautiful horror, but also when you have a really long story like this, I feel like it's impossible for it to stay horror. And so for it to branch out into all these different like genres and become something greater is very nice. And I like that we started where we did. I really do. Just as a horror fan, because, you know, thinking about the ramifications of all that shit, and then having those ramifications come back into the story later on is very good and pertinent. That was Arc 6, right? When Keiichi realizes what he did.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
I also was expecting more. I really wanted a drop or like a big moment in Arc 8 to be all of the kids remembered all of the previous arcs. Like I was kind of rooting for that, but it didn't happen. So, yeah.
I feel like that's implicitly what happened, at least. You know, especially with Oreo, where she's just like, oh, yeah, no, I hope those kids are okay. And like, she wouldn't have done that if she didn't have some recollection.
See, I think that I got caught up in the scene where Keiichi realizes it and then just sobs in the middle of class to the point where, what was her name? The teacher? Chie. I keep wanting to call her Kurie. But yeah, Chie is like, you know, like, oh, is everything good?
And I do think we did see a little bit of that as well. I think it was in the last arc as well, where they're all talking like, oh yeah, I had these weird dreams.
Yes,
so I think it's like,
I thought it was setting that up.
Yeah, I think it is like, I think it's implying that that's happened, but it's just drawing less attention to it.
Exactly. So that's why I was mentioning the big blow up with Keiichi remembering it and then being like completely floored and fucked up by it. And then it felt like it got more and more subtle or subdued. And then we get to the Arc 8 where it's just like kind of implied everybody realizes or everybody kind of remembers or has a vague idea. So anyway.
Yeah, I think it is at least implied during the connecting fragments section that that entity was trying to basically gather everyone from their best selves at their best moments. Like, especially looking at how, they reached out and grabbed Akasaka.
Yeah.
And saying like, yo, let's grant that wish, kind of.
Yeah.
Not for you though. Your wife's still dead.
Yeah, your
Akasaka, you get to do New Game Plus, baby.
Wife's dead parkour. Wife's dead parkour.
Wife dead plus. Yeah. That totally makes sense. Because now I totally remember when Akasaka during that wonderful fight scene was like, I can finally make good on that promise, and all of the 100 years that he spent regretting what happened, which is so that was, I guess that is
kind of
telling
time
you
cop.
what was going on. Kind of time cop. Yeah, that's the alternate title for Higurashi. Kind of time cop.
No weed involved though.
Fuck.
Only ketamine.
Ryukishi, what the fuck are you doing? Square one. Let's go.
Just another real quick thing. Have both Gale and Jan gotten everything they wanted to talk about in the document?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the document from everyone. A lot.
Oh.
I have almost no topics on there. I spent all of my thoughts on the notes.
Oh, sorry. I didn't I don't actually have the link to that.
The document is in the Higurashi Book Club channel.
All right,
Yeah, it looks like Talus Real and Olo, and it's hard for me to.
I mean, my part was was drilling deeper into cause and effect and trying to build sort of the better future. Ryukishi was hinting at if we wanted to drill deeper into that, and I guess I know Gale had all kinds of interview notes.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular. I've just been adding on to other people's notes, and I hope that's okay.
Oh, jeez.
I did include a bunch of interview things, but that's not so much that's more just so people can kind of peruse some of that on their own time, because there's many pages of that. Could I mention one of my the thing that I thought was most interesting with regards to the notes that I took?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Talus Shield started a little topic here with Higurashi and Satoko with regards to Matsuribayashi, because in the epilogue, Ryukishi's kind of hey, it wasn't really that positive of a solution for her, and it's very interesting because it's Higurashi, I believe, mentions that one of the three families took custody of her. But in this world, that never would have happened, for instance, among other things. But with regards to Higurashi and Matsuribayashi in that way, Ryukishi even made a really big criticism of his portrayal of Satoko, and I was able to actually find a properly translated version of this, which I really, really like. The only parts where Satoko is the main character were in Tatari Goroshi and Higurashi, but she never has an active role. She's a princess, and all of her friends are just playing the prince who are supposed to save her. So she barely appears in those stories in terms of her own struggles. I like this a lot because he says, I put too much emphasis on the fact that if you want to find a happy ending, you can't do it by violent actions, but you have to take the right approach by gathering everyone's strength. As a result, it didn't lead to a story of Satoko's growth, because she didn't have any power within that to be... She did not have any place or power to gather strength. Her situation is kind of is exactly like Takano's in that way, where what can you do as a child in that situation unless someone else from the outside is willing to do that for your sake? And I think it's really interesting that he engages with this idea of both, not even just Matsuribayashi, but the first half of Minagoroshi not even being an ideal ending, and having like disappointment, not just like with himself, but the idea of how difficult it is to find Satoko any kind of like happier ending, like how difficult it is to give kids like these kids in situations like Satoko and Takano, giving them a truly like happy situation. How can you do that when they've already been through so much trauma? And how can you do that when your inherent structures are so broken? And I like that he's even challenging himself and challenging the reader within Matsuribayashi. Like, this shouldn't be the limit to the potential for happiness. This should be better. This shouldn't be the best it can get. I think that's very meaningful.
Yeah, agreed. Did we want to go into another topic? Or Talsreal, did you want to talk about your notes on that?
I don't know that we need to go into depth at this point. I guess one of the major themes that I had seen and was kind of batting around was that there's a lot of give and take in the cause and effect of the way the story's set up. Like how we have the timeline where Miyoko goes on the train, doesn't die. She gets to have a normal childhood, but that isn't like that's a good ending for her, or at least a good beginning for her. That doesn't take her through all the awful things, but that has darker implications for Hinamizawa in the sense that unless Koizumi takes the initiative on his own to set up to set up a treatment institute for Hinamizawa syndrome without Takano pushing for it, no one's there researching the disease and coming up towards a cure, which leaves Satoko kind of in the wind unless something else changes to change her situation. Because without the institute there, she doesn't have a way to get treated for her Hinamizawa syndrome manifestation.
Yeah, you're correct about that. I think Ryukishi really does consider these cause and effect things a lot, and how like how that changes things to alter this small variable, because it's been said before within the staff, like the after party, whatever you want to call them, as well, of like the characters themselves stay consistent, but the perspective change and the situations change. But, like, it's still the same people, so I think that is like a higher stakes, I guess, version of examining that, or like a bigger step in examining that, of like, if this little thing didn't happen in this person's life this far back, obviously things would change in this way, and that does, open up a lot of later questions of like, okay, well then, would this still happen? Would this still happen? How would that affect this? And all these like unseen dominoes changing course, I think.
And I guess another important one to mention is that I want to say it was I can't remember if it was Minagoroshi or Sumi Horoboshi, one of those where in one of those arcs, Rika says that there are like 2% of the timelines out there where Keiichi does not come to Hinamizawa. And for her, those are the worst timelines of all. But at the same time, a lot of the reason that Keiichi comes to Hinamizawa is because he shot a kid. Rika's bad. If Rika's happiness in having Keiichi in Hinamizawa is to a large extent founded on this one nameless kid suffering back home.
Yeah, and I think maybe in a way he's trying to look at it as like, there is no perfect world where no one gets hurt, and you have to learn to be okay with that. and like not feel like there's maybe to feel like just because bad things have happened doesn't mean you can't have a happy future. Maybe like that's part of where you could take this with his philosophy in mind of like, it's okay if you've done terrible things, because that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do good things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's hopeless or that nothing good can happen, but more that like you just need to learn to accept that and move forward with what you have, I guess.
Yeah, like I actually also put in my my thoughts and response specifically, and it was more or less that. But it's like even in
Sorry.
no, it's okay. um, even in this one, Matsuribayashi, like no one has really, no one's in their quote unquote best timeline essentially. Like everyone has had something happen to them, or like gone through something that's been like traumatic and scary and all this stuff. So they are not their perfect selves, but that doesn't mean they can't reach a happy ending, if not like a quote unquote perfect one. And like what is it? God, I was really late to watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, so it's heavy on my mind. But like it's that thing of like, even if all of these bad things have happened, even if you were not your perfect self and you haven't like gone on the quote unquote optimal path of your life, you can still find happiness and like goodness in the life you are living right now. It's like you can, no matter what changes have occurred, no matter what changes have been like forced upon you or any of these, it's normal to want to be better. It's normal to be, and like even think back on your past and be like, oh, if this didn't happen, I would be so much better. I would have this thing, or I would be like this. But time time moves forward always. We have to go forward. We don't have a choice in that matter. And like you just you have to learn to live with the scars and the changes. But even with all these changes, and even if you are unhappy with, even if like I'm trying to think of a good way to word everything. Whenever like traumatic things happen, there's no getting around that a change occurs. Like you are, unfortunately, we are all shaped by the events of our lives, but that doesn't mean that any of these changes are permanent. We can change, like even just living a normal day changes us in a small way. We can't go back to what we were before everything happened, but we can move forward into a better shape. We can become better. We can reach a point where we feel we are better, and where we don't long for the I always think of the word prelapsarian. We don't long for the quote unquote good old days as much as we used to, because we realize we can make the new days, the days coming, better. We can make everything better, and we can work for it, kind of thing.
And really, that was Keiichi's whole arc as originally revealed in Sumi Horoboshi too, just growing from that terrible event.
Yeah, and like was it while I'm thinking of this, and since my thoughts on it were like kind of a little more scattered, sorry, I'm scrolling past everything. Had to put this at the end of the doc, but I wrote like a few words on like the idea of sin, scapegoats, and like sacrifice in general. Warning for like self-harm, it's like pretty vague. I'm gonna try and be vague about it, but like it's like I said, I feel like I'm rubbing rocks together, but it's like, what does this whole story say about the nature of sin? Like what do we feel is the nature of sin, given not just in Higurashi's world, but in like our world? It's like, is it something that we're doomed to just live with, something that is going to weigh us down and drag us into hell, or is it something that you have to rid yourself of? It's like, how do you go about removing this burden from yourself? It's like, does there always have to be a scapegoat? Does it always have to be like a sacrifice of something? And is the act of sacrificing yourself even like a noble act? Like, Takano and Hanyu are both scapegoats, some by less choice than others, and like and I also put, and also like, that's what Jesus is, what the, and and like one thing that I always think of, like, to bring it to Silent Hill 2, I always think about the diary on the Brookhaven rooftop. Like, that's just something that I'm kind of always thinking about whenever I get in like a certain mood, and it's just like, I'm thinking of the line of, is it really such a sin to run instead of fight? And it's like, on one hand, you want to say, no, it's not, because it's really, really exhausting to fight all the time. But it's also this idea of, is the urge to sacrifice yourself, to make yourself into the scapegoat for not just your sins, but like for other people's sins, to sort of run yourself ragged, is that really a good option? Is that not just like your own sort of, is that not just some elaborate self-harm? Because I find that I will fall into patterns of that, of like just putting more and more work on myself, because it's like, no, I haven't earned the right to say no, to say I'm tired, to say I don't want to do this. And it's just a thing of like, you don't have to make yourself into a sacrifice. And to be personal, I have a lot of like fucking specifically Catholic guilt, so I have so much there's so many thoughts about martyrdom and sacrifice in my head constantly. But it's that thing of like, yeah, the idea of a scapegoat and a sacrifice. It's like, is it possible to achieve a life with less or without sin, to like rid yourself of these burdens on yourself without turning someone else into the scapegoat for it? And Higurashi says, yes, it is. It's hard, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of very good commentary on that in different examinations and different spaces.
Oh. Oh, Gale's power went out.
Oops.
Oh shit, was that what happened?
Yeah. It's like, oh no, did I say something to upset Gale?
I thought the thing happened where my Discord decides to fuck up. That's fun.
I was just sitting here really stewing over what Olo said, and I don't think I can comment on that without getting too personal in a way that I just can't do. But I very much appreciate the thoughts, and I sure am going to think about these.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a lot of research on martyr complex.
Martyrdom, yeah.
For, I don't know, some weird video that I'm working on.
Just this little project.
I feel like, in the end, Ryukishi really does want to say, like, you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to feel like you need to be a martyr or a sacrifice like this. Like, that was, very much looked at with the old maid versus, like, old bachelor, I think, analogy of, like, we're playing with a different rule set here, but you don't have to foist this onto another to make someone else suffer. Like, just looking at it in terms of, whether or not you really need to, or if everyone can actually be okay this time. I feel like, I feel like he very much does, at least from what I've seen, wish that no one has to do that or feel like they have to.
I have one more topic to go over, unless someone else wants to take it. I don't want to like monopolize time here.
I think it's fine. I mean, I don't have anything against it.
All right. Yeah, I'm. There's much to talk about with Higurashi, but I'm trying to keep it like somewhat reasonable. This one is like there's no easy segue to it, but the idea of justice versus revenge. Yeah, like Takano does face consequences for her actions, and as we heard, she is eventually going to have to be reprimanded for everything that happened. But she isn't instantly like thrown in jail, and she doesn't die the way that like most villains in particularly action heavy series would die. And like she actually manages to gain like some sort of support and maybe even be able to heal. This is very clearly not revenge, so can we call this justice? I personally think so, but like I'm trying to do something by asking questions. Yeah, like the current justice system in a lot of places acts more as a means of either enacting vengeance or just being like a means of punishment as opposed to like actual justice. And it's like, what would justice look like for actors like Takano, for Shion in Miyakashi, and Rena in Sumihoroboshi? It's like Rika and Hanyu, they went through a lot because of everything that Takano did. And like I think in other stories you would say, and you could even argue that they have like the quote unquote right to enact revenge on Takano, but instead they choose to seek justice. They don't leave anyone out. And it's just like an interesting look into how Higurashi deals with everything.
Yeah, I think you could say that like a criticism of Higurashi would be that it's a little bit idealized, because we don't really have to reckon with the idea of the fact that someone enacted a murder in the final act, in the final arc. We don't really have to reckon with the fact that someone had murderous intent. We were just focused on the actions, and that the action of killing somebody didn't happen. But there is something to be said. If Hinamizawa syndrome wasn't a thing, like, would we be having the same conversation? No. I think that we would have to really consider more. Like, Hinamizawa syndrome is really like, it kind of gums up the works a lot with regard to justice and just like all the topics that you're talking about. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but
the word I kind of want to use on that is culpability, but yeah. I'm not,
because we don't have to really reckon with we don't really have to reckon with the fact that Takano, like the reveal at the end that she has Hinamizawa syndrome. It's like, well, shit, that kind of takes away from things. It makes me feel better because she shot the gun. It makes me feel better because, she in my mind, she would only do that if she was like, sick with Hinamizawa syndrome. But what if she wasn't? How much do you forgive? And it seems to me that Higurashi and Ryukishi are basically like, well, we don't really have to cross that bridge because no one died.
Yeah.
But and I'm totally fine with that, because Higurashi bites off a lot and chews on a whole lot. And the fact that it didn't choke, the A+ for me. So
let's dedicate another 12 hours to this question.
It's incredible that Higurashi managed to do all these flips and not land flat on its face. Like I've seen some other like very ambitious stories do.
Yeah.
Really fuck it right at the end.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know what stories you're talking about.
Was it? Yeah, like I've been thinking about this stuff because it's when I first went through Higurashi, like I was going through it as this thing of like, oh, my friend said this was good like all those years ago, and they still like it. So it's like, yeah, I might as well finally go through this. And then I was like, wow, this is good. And then now with these book clubs, I'm like, man, oh my god, is this what it's like to actually analyze media? This is crazy.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I'm kind of directing people at this game because it could be baby's first media analysis, and what better game to do it with than Higurashi? Quite honestly, there's just so much useful life lessons in here that
yes,
it's good shit.
I always feel like a real dope when it comes to media analysis and like just trying to pick out the politics of things, because like I'm a fan of series that are known for being kind of stupid, and like they are stupid, but there's also like politics that are interesting in a lot of them. Like like I'm thinking about JoJo's in specific, but like I know people will call people will call Metal Gear stupid, and it's like, well, yes, but that one also is like overtly political, so it's like people are more forgiving of it. But yeah, it's a thing of like sometimes the politics are less obvious.
Yeah. And for me, like, it's I think about that a lot. Like the idea that that's why I'm a big advocate of people just like doing art and making art and just having conversations with people through art. Even if you don't think it's good, because even if an art is overtly terrible, it can be useful. It can be helpful to people. It can be helpful to the artist who made it. A lot of the time, realize that, hey, maybe some of the thoughts that I have that I'm expressing through my art are bad and not good. And through proper media analysis, we can dissect these things and talk about it, have a conversation, make connections. Interesting. But
I'm thinking about the prospect of political media analysis of things you wouldn't expect much to have to say about or whatever. And I'm just here like, the sequel to this podcast will be a 3.5 hour solo show where I tell you about the politics hidden in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, fuck yes.
Dude, I want to have, like, I really wish Gale, the storm hadn't
I miss Gale.
Hadn't knocked Gale out, but I do want to. I want to hear Gale's thoughts on this. My Hero Academia as an analysis of Japan, of America passing the torch to Japan in terms of being a world power. Oh
my god!
I love the idea of political analysis as read through My Hero Academia, because it's fucking there. It's right there. Like the fact that he's using all these attacks by saying like states and shit, and then that's passed on to fucking I forget his name. Green kid. Deku. What's his other name? Midoriya.
I don't know what anime is.
Oh well. Are you familiar with Garbage? No. I'm kidding.
No.
Anyway, yeah, we should probably keep going. Someone said "boss baby" in the chat, and I'm just not reading the chat anymore. It's been poisoned. The well
what
has
are
been
the politics
poisoned.
of Death Note?
They're weird. I listened to a podcast where they analyzed that movie, and there's some weird shit going on.
The movie? Oh man.
Yeah, like the original movie.
Oh man.
I mean, I think the whole point to Boss Baby is that it's like
No.
Okay. You're cutting.
Mute your mic, or I'm muting it for you.
Boss Baby was literally all like originally
Stop
like a little golden book.
Stop talking about Boss Baby.
Getting a lot of Boss Baby vibes from Higurashi.
Stop it! No more. But what I was gonna say real quick to stop, numbers from saying Boss Baby one more fucking time is even Metal Gear Solid 4, which is like widely panned, and and I like that wasn't the best game to me, like fucking whatever. But the ending, when you realize that it's coming from such a personal place, and oh my god. What is his name?
Kojima?
Kojima. Why did I think it began with an H? Hideo Kojima. Ah, fuck.
Hank Kojima.
Hank Kojima. Hideo Kojima. Realizing that it's a personal story about, his father, and reading the interviews about that, it's like it's so powerful. It's so imbued with meaning because of that whole thing.
Whenever I'm about to have thoughts about Metal Gear in general, but also like Metal Gear Solid 4 in particular, of course, I feel like I'm just restating that parts of that brilliant video essay.
Oh yeah.
The subject.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just repeating bits of that whenever I think about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
But in a less cogent, less good way.
All right, Rika, get in the scan machine.
Got it. I got it. I've come up with an original thought about Metal Gear Solid 4, which is definitely not in that video essay whatsoever anywhere.
If you say the words boss
Metal
and
Gear
baby...
Solid 4 is kinda like boss baby.
Fuck you! It's too late for this shit.
Boss baby is contrasts.
Yeah, I do it to myself because I have a visceral reaction. And when I do that, Numbers picks up on it and pushes the button over and over and over again. I could stop this real quick by just anyway.
Naked Snake technically is the boss's baby.
Okay. Stream is no longer mine. It's been fucking hijacked. Y'all are my mountain dogs.
I said a factual statement about Metal Gear. You can't disagree with that.
I can have a moral stance on it.
The spoiler chat for Higurashi, like the original spoiler chat, was called the Hinamizawa Forestry Service, implying that like all of the spoiler people running around were the Yama Inu. We were the mountain dogs all along.
That's right.
Interesting.
We were keeping things running behind the scenes.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know why I put it together. Like, I forgot to mention it, but what's his name?
Okanogi.
Okanogi. I finally realized, like, oh right, he was the dude from the forestry service in Arc 6.
The gardeners, the Okanogi gardeners in Arc 6 that were looking for Rena.
Right. Yeah. And I realized that a little while ago. Not a little while ago, but early on in the arc. I forgot to mention it, but I kind of had like so Rena wasn't entirely off base with that. But anyway, I don't know why it took a while for that to click. I should have realized it because he had art. Like, why would he have art if he wasn't? Anyway. Anyways, did anyone want to continue talking about these discussion topics? We've got okay, we did sin, we did well, I don't know. Anyone who wrote any of these, just go ahead.
See, if you think about it, Okanogi is kind of like the boss baby in that.
No, we could split the difference here a bit, and if Jan is up to it, she could make the doc read only after this, and we could put in the description of the VOD, and that way people can look through it if we missed anyone.
Sure. I mean, we should do that anyway, just because we're referencing this. And
yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
If we're not doing that, we should do that.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't realize that there was a doc for this stuff. And
wait, really?
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was just the other doc, and then all of these. This. I really wish I knew about this in advance. Fuck.
Oh no.
You're the boss here, but there's a lot of things you don't know.
No, I'm not.
You're sort of like.
Yeah, it's such a funny fucking joke when you make it like
I'm
80
so sorry.
fucking times.
I'm so sorry.
Again, I'm
funny.
doing it to myself because I'm choosing to vocalize my disdain for the joke, but whatever.
It was not even particularly funny the first time.
You said that right. You could say that again. No, it's actually funny, and that's why I'm doing it, because I'm plussing it up and I want to.
I just have an illness.
Anyway, yeah. So Rika and Takano as opposite situations. It looks like Jan and Gale both have some in here. Is there any possibility Gale is coming back?
After
No, I'm in contact with them here, and it seems like it's I don't think that they're going to be able to make it back in tonight, but they have a lot of really, really good thoughts here that I do think is important to be shared.
Okay, let me posit something. Part 2.
Oh my goodness.
I'm throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Since Higurashi is going to be pretty small already, I don't think we'll have too much to say about that. So we can always, roll that into the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, Higurashi is only like 5 hours. It's yeah, or even less than 5 hours now that I'm looking at it, I think. So it's like pretty quick.
I think that there might... No, I don't think that's right. I was about to say, I think that there's tips longer than it, and I don't think that's quite right.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the the playlist I was using, and it's yeah, it's closer to 4 hours actually. It's literally just 2 videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well. Yeah.
It's really important.
What is?
Higurashi is critically important. It contains
Gale
really
is
important
critically
skills.
important.
That's true about the entire nature of Higurashi as a project, including what it was all about all along.
What it was really about.
What it was really about.
It was really about road safety. Be sure to look both ways before you cross the street.
I'm tired.
You see, you see, Olo, the idea was that I was going to say that like next time and just leave this as like a lingering bit, but
Shit.
Oh, I guarantee you're going to remember
It's
it.
really just like a curry making recipe guide.
Yes.
So you learn how to cook curry, peel your potatoes and
Heal your pain with this
boil
curry.
your rice.
That's the
whatever.
That's Arc 81, where it's Chie coming through with some hearty
we'll
curry.
fucking get there eventually. There's so many bonus arcs. There's so many.
So bonus arc time. Bonus arc chat. What are we doing? Is it just Higurashi and that's it? Do none of the other arcs have any redeemable like?
I mean, one of the other arcs is just straight up a fan service arc, so I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah.
I know. I've said before that everybody will say read Higurashi and then usually has like 2 extra bonus arcs which they recommend reading. I know Yorigoshi is one of the ones people like. And maybe the alien one is good, but I refuse to learn because I don't want to ruin the illusion of it just being the alien one.
I'm looking at Rokenjima, which is maybe a little dangerous. I'm trying to find the arc thing. I'm like scanning over everything. Because I think Rokenjima was the one that said like, yeah, main arcs. Oh, I might not be in the right place.
Guide to every Higurashi.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the wrong Rokenjima. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, so for anyone who's interested, go ahead and go to bobvids.com or go to my Linktree. Go to Twitter, my Linktree is there. I think it's just Linktree, and then .e and then /bobvids. You will find a permanent link to the Discord there. You can ask in the general chat to be added to the wonderful Higurashi book club, which will soon turn into the Umineko book club. But we will never forget the cicadas that we made along the way. But I did want to push that because I want more people to, just know that it's there. I want more people to swing on by. We're going to be doing more. And the main reason I'm going to be basically going into Discord and we're going to watch whenever we get some time. We're we're gonna watch the anime. We're gonna watch a bunch of the, because we already watched the main anime, which I believe was all the way up to arc 6. Yeah, and then there was more, but we didn't watch that. So
yeah, they did 7 and 8 as like a second series or whatever technically because it wasn't out yet or something.
Yep, and we'll do a watch party for that. It'll be great. I hope it's not too long, but we'll segment it. It'll be fine. And yeah, I'm still planning on doing it. I just don't have time, and you know, I'll be honest, I'm a little sleep deprived. So I haven't really had much time because of work to work on the thing that I really want to do, which is a YouTube shitpost video of, not for YouTube, well, maybe for YouTube, of the anime and all of the terrible fucking scenes. Anyone who's watched the Dead Space LP, think of it like the ending to the, when we did the watch of the Dead Space animations on the YouTube channel for Dead Space. The little animatics. I did a little video similar to a YouTube poop at the end of that. Yeah, the one that was derided by Casey Green as a YouTube poop.
No, it's great. Like genuinely, YouTube poops are very fun, and I think you did a really good job.
Thank you very much. I want to do that again. And oh my God, Higurashi is ripe for that shit. So I wanted to at least do an assemblage of all of the insanity from the anime, because oh boy, I hope y'all like piss. You big piss fans out there? Let's give it up for piss.
I do think Higurashi is due for actually a modern approach to YTPs. I think there's a lot of very good ones now that
there's some
it is in need of.
Yeah.
Let's not hand it to the piss fans.
They'll get piss on their hands. That's not good for anybody. Can't shake hands and stuff. It's gross.
You do not, under any circumstances, gotta hand it to him.
Piss. Just piss. Anyway, I've been spending a lot of time lately thinking about Piss Christ versus AI art. Anyway, that's it for Arc 8. It's a little bit of a weird ending, but just know that we are coming back. We are talking about Higurashi. It is not the actual end. And plus, you gotta, like, Gale got kicked offline by like lightning, so we gotta have Gale back. We gotta. Gale is fucking.
We're calling him all again.
Everybody is crucial to this, and Gale is also very crucial. And I want to hear everything that Gale had to say about this. I had no idea that there were so many notes. Oh my God, how many? 26 pages? What the fucking hell?
Some of it is just like interview highlights.
Okay.
It is very important and relevant interviews, though. Gail has been reading those all day, and a lot of it's like specifically around the end of Higurashi's production or leading up into the next one or like reflecting on it. I think it's all worth a read, honestly.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And every time Gail like talks about this kind of stuff, it adds to, like, I stand by my original assessment of this situation where Gail absolutely should do videos that are like must watch, like sort of prescripts and postscripts to the arcs themselves, because Gale always brings the really interesting critical information that pluses up the entire story. Every time, like, all this stuff is so fucking good, and I just need to know more, and I feel like I'm a better reader and player because of Gale's work. So we gotta talk about the rest of this discussion. We gotta talk about the rest of this doc. I will not stand not having more Gale convos. Need them in my life. But tonight, sadly, the storm that you hear in your ears, this storm right here, it's the one that got Gale. Now it's coming to get me. So it was fun while it lasted. And I should do the thing where the lightning strike happens with in the visual novel, like when Takano is screaming at God and the lightning just goes bam, and then like the white flash, And I'll make it really abrupt, like a fucking jump scare. Maybe I won't do that. I don't know. I guess you'll find out on the VOD. I bet you're worried now if there's a loud noise coming.
Live in fear.
Living in fear, constant fear. All right. Did anyone else have anything final to say? Anything else to talk about real quick before we leave?
Most of my funny ending things I'd like to add are things I can't add without Higurashi.
Well, that's another reason why we got to do Higurashi and finish this whole thing up. Anyone else?
I miss Gale.
I miss Gale.
I miss Gale.
Just be.
Yeah, I think Gale has a lot of really good thoughts that I think maybe they can share in text form tomorrow if they're able to. They have a lot of very important.
It really isn't the same.
Here.
All I'll say is determined Gales never die. So, with that,
Ursula Cat has a question.
Ursula Cat, you better. I'm not reading chat. It's been poisoned.
It doesn't have anything to do with anything I keep mentioning because I'm very sleep deprived and I think they're unnaturally funny.
Okay, for real though, Akane gets married to Oishi.
Just to make you right.
They're good. They're good together. They're good. They're better friends though. Let's not be weird about it. Who marries who? I mean, fucking Rika and Satoko. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, obviously. That's what Ghost Otsu's about.
I have no doubt.
Relationship with Kumagai.
Hey, good for him. I'm here for it. I support it. I don't know who marries the cicadas. I was coming up with a joke, but with my sleep deprived brain.
The Steagles, clearly.
Clearly. Ooh, kissy times for Oishi. Oh, you mean Okishi? Okishi? I am tired and I can't fucking. All right, so that's it. We're calling it. It's nearly midnight. Really need to wrap this up. So I just wanted to say that this was a wonderful experience, and I highly suggest book clubs. Book clubs are a great time, and it was or maybe I'm spoiled because I have such wonderful friends to do this with, including Indestructible Cat, Laura, Olo, Numbers, Talsriel, Jan, Gale, and Elise, who unfortunately had to leave earlier. But Elise also crucial to this. I hope Elise joins back up on the next one. But what a wonderful, beautiful little story. By little I mean Jai fucking Ganic. And y'all, I just want to give Takano a big fucking hug, dude. Oh my god. That poor lady. Anyway, y'all have a great night. I hope you had fun. Stay tuned for the next one. I might even smash it into the end of this one. I guess you'll see. So yeah, that's it. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you very much for the chat, for hanging out, and catch you on the next one.